What's going on, everybody?
Welcome back. Welcome.
That's what I'm talking about right
Yeah,
there.
I don't know what to do. You guys are all
No,
good to
you're good.
go. I'm
No, that's just our little intro thing. That's our little
okay.
intro thing.
Just me
Um,
being weird.
no.
I would have beatboxed
But
for you or something.
all right, how's everybody doing tonight? Tonight, no, we got Mr. Ian Polka on of Alimony Hobbies. I love the name. I remember hearing back in the day your prior name was Artificial Geckos, right?
Artificer Geckos. Yeah, that was
Yeah,
the
Artificial
West
Geckos.
Coast. What? Yeah,
West
West
Coast.
Coast.
Okay.
Yeah,
All
yeah.
right.
There's actually.
So
Go ahead.
go ahead. I was gonna say,
Oh, there's
like,
a
how did you
small
get into
story
this
to
thing,
that.
man? Yeah, so how did you get into this? I heard you're an OG. What's going on? Give us the story on this, man.
Yeah,
Um,
tell us your story.
I am older than I care to say, but bottom line is, as a kid, I grew up in South Sacramento, and I had a lot of rough friends. To give you an idea, out of our little call it group, only one of us, besides me, now we're talking pre-high school, but only one of us didn't end up in jail at some point, besides me. So it was that kind of neighborhood, and just by luck, there was a breeder. Well, not a breeder. We didn't have breeders back then. There was an importer who lived down the road, and so my mom, being wise, she said, here's the deal. If you, I'm sure you've heard this before from other people, but if the lights turn on outside, it's time to come home. The street lights, right?
Oh yeah,
But
that's
her
some OG
little,
shit.
yeah, her caveat was, if you're over at Jody's, the guy's name was Jody. She's all, you can stay there as late as you want. You just got to call me when you're gonna start coming home, so I know you're on your way home. So I mean, even if I was hanging out with my friends, as soon as it started to get dark, I'd go over to Jody so I could stay out as late as I wanted to. And if I'm being honest, half the time it was because I didn't want to do homework. But because I mean, the moment I got home, she'd be like, "Okay, do your homework." So I'd take my time. But I got to know this guy, and I was young. And as I got older, of course, doing it for years, he trusted me more and more with things like Memorial Day weekend. They'd go to the lake, and I'd be in charge of everything. And things were different back then. We didn't have all these cool tanks like we do now. A lot of his stuff was made, so like his back, I'm gonna call it patio, was just basically a greenhouse with screen separations in between, and just like Ambanja chameleons on one side, Europlatus on the other. It was crazy, and I loved it. It was like going to the zoo, honestly. And so that's where I started. That's where it began. It was, to give you an idea, back then, my first snake was a mandarin rat snake.
Mhm.
My first lizard was a long-tail lizard, but it was a more common one of the really common ones.
But you talking about like the tachydramas?
Yes,
Okay, nice.
tachydramus, but the brown, not the cool
The
green one.
Sex Lydianus? I think
Yes,
that's what it's called.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I can throw those out too if you want.
Oh yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, some people I'll say, oh yeah, you want Goniosaurus, and they have no idea what I'm talking about. So I kind of
I'm a
don't.
scientific. Well, I'm a scientific name person. Anthony is the common name person, so that's
Gotcha.
why it makes us a good duo.
No, it really
I'm
does, and I,
learning.
I
I'm
can,
learning. I'm learning.
and I actually put a great example of exactly that down over here that I was going to show you guys in a few. But that's how I got in the hobby. I got really into it. I ended up moving to Pennsylvania for a couple of years because I met a girl, because I'm a dumbass, and and when I was living with her, I literally was this guy's. I became his kind of his contact out there, and it was mostly New Jersey. Even though I was in Pennsylvania, it was New Jersey pet stores that it seemed like that's where some of the exotic pet stores were, that were like, hey, um, we want a chameleon, or we want a blood python, or these things that were really hard to get back then. And so he'd ship to me, and I'd take them over, and just that's I'm gonna leave it at that's how I got into it, but that's also how I got out of it. That girl being the yeah.
How different did you find the rules and laws from those two states? Was it anything seriously drastic to you, or did you need to make some sort of adjustments? With
Not back
regulations,
then.
I guess.
Back then, the rules weren't too bad. One thing that was different, and this is part of the caveat that made me have to stop for a little while, was that we could have the venomous out there in Pennsylvania.
I just think they still
So,
have.
like,
Oh.
yeah, I would get, every once in a while, I'd get in, um, like, I'm just going to throw this out there here. It's kind of a part of the other stories, but basically, at one point, a friend of mine wanted a viper. Was it a gaboon? I don't know, so long ago, but it was a viper, and a cobra, but it was a false water cobra. That's really important. You guys, I'm sure, are familiar with those.
Oh yeah.
I come home, I bring them because back then the only way to get them was Delta. Believe it or not, they would fly them to you. You'd have to go to the airport and pick up your cargo. So, anyways, I get these two snakes, and you guys are gonna laugh because anybody who's listening knows the difference. But the gaboon, I put it in basically like a tub, but a tub that I can transport it. I bring home. They're in bags. Put that in the tub, no problem. The false water cobra just didn't want to cooperate. Finally comes out. It is hissing, throwing a storm, doing the flattened shit. My what became wife at the time, just my girlfriend, lost her mind about the false water cobra, not the
Oh, really?
viper, the false water cobra.
Oh, it's because he's flinging shit everywhere.
Yeah, but hello, viper,
Yeah.
cobra, false cobra.
Well, I mean, Gaboon's pretty chill. It's
That thing
that
will bite you
like
through a stone wall.
yeah, but like those falsies, man, they are like spastic.
Yeah,
They
I
like
Right.
to
personally either. I'm not a.
yeah, I've seen them. They'll fling their shit all over like their cages and everything. Then you gotta
Right.
clean it up. Then they'll do it
Right.
again because they
Right.
eat a lot, don't they?
Oh yeah, but
Yeah,
in
see,
her
and
mind, the cobra was like a real cobra. It was dangerous. Why it's so funny is that the pretty snake over here is just fine. The false water cobra, that's a cobra and it's going crazy. And that kind of led to me having to stop for a while because she really was after that, like, no, just no. And my dumbass listened. And so I kind of faded out for a few years. So, and then Artificer Geckos was when I came back. It wasn't when I started doing the hobby again. I started doing the hobby pretty early on. But when I came back as going to shows, that's when Artificer Geckos came.
yeah.
So,
Not for nothing, but I feel the need to mention women don't know how much we give up for them. Like I think that we get taken almost to a degree taken advantage of, right? Like I love snakes. My whole life I grew up with giant green anacondas, boas, Burmese pythons. I mean, from when I was a kid, these things were something I was passionate about. When I met my wife and married my wife, she made it very clear that I could do whatever I want. I can have reptiles. She doesn't mind if they can, fit in a certain type of enclosure, but I am not allowed to have a snake, period. Venomous, non-venomous, any type of snake, something I can't do. So I compromised, right? But I'm not alone. I'm not unique in this. I meet men on a daily basis that have to give up snakes because of their wives, and they just seemingly take it like it's nothing. Like, oh, nope, he just doesn't keep something he loves because I dislike it. Women should really appreciate it. It's a lot more for the things we give up, man. I guess that's what I'm trying to say.
I'm trying to convince mine to let me get some scorpions next, but
good luck.
we'll see. Yeah,
Where
she
where
jump
In your backyard.
now?
Yeah.
I know you're in Arizona. Where are you at?
I'm in Connecticut, East Coast.
Okay, so you're east. Okay.
New York line, right? Connecticut, New York line, Lower Fairfield County.
Okay. I only ask because I'll tell you, when I was in California, there were just as many women breeders and including snakes as there were men. In fact, one time I went and it was you guys just vanished. Is that okay?
Yeah, you're
Can you
good.
see us now on the side?
No, all I see the
See the screen?
PowerPoint, but not like
Let me
full
s-
screen, just like your
Let
window.
me see if I can change it.
Now I see you guys.
Yeah, let me see if I can change it real quick. There we go. Boom. All right, can you see us both?
Yeah, I see two windows and you guys down at the bottom really tiny. No stress,
Cool.
I'm just letting you know.
No, that's cool. I don't know why it's doing all this, but I'll figure it out. But go ahead, keep going.
Okay.
I'll figure it out.
Yeah, and you can keep messing with it. I don't mind. I just was letting you know. I didn't know if the live
Yeah.
stopped.
And not for
No,
nothing,
the
not to
lights.
interrupt, but I think women make great ambassadors for the reptile hobby. Not that
Yeah.
I'm a sexist or anything by any means, but when children, other men, women see women with reptiles, it makes them a little less intimidating, if you will. And
Yeah,
I think they're
I
great
agree
for
there.
the hobby when they do the right
So
thing.
we did get
They're
a question
just as-
in the chat, real quick. And before I ask that, tell this question. So Brittany said, "Hey, it's your fave, Ian." But she did said, "Okay, as a woman, what about setting boundaries when the man wants some venomous?"
Are they asking me or you guys? Because if you,
This will
I
go
guess
out
both of us.
into. This just goes out into everywhere. Like
Is a
I don't have
man
no
okay
intentions
with
really getting
saying,
venomous stuff.
sweetheart, you can get your nails done, but baby, we're not doing the hair.
so
I mean,
the
it's
venomous, I'm
big
kind of neutral
with
on
me.
that, and I'll tell you
Yeah.
why. I think the hard thing is if you're a mom and you just had a kid, I mean, I don't know if you guys have had kids, but when I had my daughter, I was immediately like everybody on the road with me was an asshole and I wanted them all to die. Like everything's a threat.
Of course. I mean,
So,
there's always the exception to the rule. You
yeah,
have to alleviate anything that's a threat, right? If
yeah,
something's a threat and you're keeping it, you're an idiot. It's our job as keepers to neutralize that threat, whether it's,
right,
improve security on our enclosures or eliminating animals from our collection. I mean, that's our responsibility to neutralize any threat when it comes to our children, our family, and our neighborhoods, right? Like we
right,
can't have snakes that are getting out and tagging our neighbors. I mean, that's just unresponsible of us, I mean,
right.
but it's a long conversation we could have. I mean, I'm interested to hear what you guys got to say.
I honestly think you nailed it, though. I think it's meet in the middle, and then because the thing is, me and Misty, my wife, we met in the middle, but then she ended up falling in love with lychees. She had no interest in geckos. But then she ended up falling in love and breeding lychees. Now she has a greenhouse in the backyard that's 700 square feet with tortoises. So, sometimes you start in the middle and then you figure out what each person loves and you just kind of
Yeah, most
build on
definitely.
that. And eventually, if you can say, hey, I've had 20 of these non-venomous snakes, none of them have ever gotten out. You got to trust me with this one. And then you build from there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's just my,
absolutely. And there's education too, right? You get the
yeah,
opportunity to educate a
yeah.
woman. I mean, not for nothing. A lot of people, I mean, we've all heard of dry bites, from venomous snakes. A lot of times, venomous hots aren't overly ambitious to waste their precious venom on something that they're not going to eat.
Very common out here, by the way. Very common with the copperheads. They will dry bite you.
Oh yeah.
So it's really common. No venom, just a
Where
dry
are
bite.
you? I don't know if I missed it.
Oh,
Where are
I'm
you
sorry.
located?
I'm in Georgia. I'm in a
Oh, you
town
are.
called Monticello, a population of like 2,000.
Less
So
than
yeah,
me in my book.
How far is that from the big city?
on a good day, about an hour and 10 minutes.
That's nice. It's,
Yeah,
it's convenient enough. That's perfect.
yeah. Oh yeah, it is. Because as soon as you leave Atlanta, it's all trees. So like, if I showed you my backyard, you'd think it was like forest, but it's not. It's just you have bigger plots with some trees. You know.
Nice. Very nice.
Why are you
Man,
laughing?
your
Just
wife
reading comments. They go up
or
too fast for my
wife or
dyslexic
sister,
ass.
Melissa.
Melissa's my wife.
All right, so it says all about bargaining. Yes, Ian can get a spider, but he needs to go skydiving with her first.
That's a true deal. That's a true
Yeah.
deal. If I go skydiving with her, I can get a spider. Yeah,
Okay. When you
yeah.
gonna make that jump?
Nope, nope, nope,
Really?
no. I'm 50. I've done escaped death too many times to keep playing with fate. I'm good.
Age well, brother. I would have said you were around my age, early
Thank you.
40s.
By the way, I just got to say, Brittany, I love you. Brittany is like the sweetest person on the planet. I don't, you just want to adopt or take her home and just have her like sit on your sofa. So after a hard day, she's just there smiling, and you're just like, she's kind of like what we were talking about, Wally, but
Mhm.
female, and she's just pleasant. I don't know how else to put it. She's awesome.
Hey, yeah, you need those kind of people in your life.
Yeah, you
Makes
do.
everything
You do.
makes it just a lot better just to live.
Makes it more fun too.
Yeah. No, you see a lot of negativity in the world, but you bring that one person in that brings that shine that sunshine to your life.
Yeah, absolutely. So that was it, right? I'm trying to remember. Was there anything else that you're asking?
No,
Oh,
we're
that
just
was
talking
it.
about the snakes and the compromise, I guess.
Yeah. Well,
And Brittany said, "Don't embarrass her."
Brittany trades foot picks for skinks. Just telling y'all. Okay, we're good.
Apparently, that's a thing, right? Like, I just found out the other day, as
Man.
weird as it is, that there's like
Oh,
strange
dude.
men on the internet that pay women for like toenail clippings and feet
Oh
pictures.
yeah. Come into one of my TikTok lives, bro. You will lose your mind because
Very strange.
I joke about it, but there's always those people that are like, "Well, how much are you gonna pay?" And you're like, "Oh shit, you really would sell some." And then there's the other people going, "Did she send you any? I want some." You know what I mean? You're just like it's fun. In TikTok, I literally give no shits. I'm like, I'm 50. I'm tired of worrying about it. I am married to the love of my life. I don't need to impress somebody. So I will say the dumbest shit just to get a reaction or to watch someone squirm. And
Well,
so,
that just
yeah,
means you're happy, man.
What's your
That just
TikTok?
means
Do you
you're
do like a
happy.
reptile-based
yeah,
TikTok thing, or
it's everything. It started as this. This is literally what it started as. Tonight's actually going to be a lot like my first TikTok lives, where it's going to be more about reptiles. But, like, for example, when I go back downstairs, I'm probably going to take a shot for Brittany for being in here. And that's what happened in TikTok. But what happened was people started giving me gifts to make me feel guilty into taking a shot for them. And so it became like this big 12-hour long live, like from 7 to 7
God.
session of lives where I get drunk and say dumb shit and make people feel better. It kind of became a hangout for people on a Friday night who were going through a breakup, a divorce, whatever, to feel like they were somewhere social having a drink, but they have a kid that's sleeping, they can't go anywhere, you know. So it just became this big drunk stupid fest.
That's cool.
And yeah, and in that I would do things like say, like there'd be like, say you guys know by now it's a big joke, but you're in my live with me and there's a bunch of us, and then somebody comes in who just we haven't met before, and I'll be like, so what's your shoe size? Can you walk in heels? You know, and I'll do shit like that and see how they'd react. You know, and the drunker I got, the dumber I got. Like it would be like, can I please buy your used bath water? You know, just the dumbest. You know, you gotta have fun. If you're not having fun, then you know, some people they go online and all they want to do is be sad about life and tell you how terrible life is. And it's like, bro, it's not all bad. I promise. Look for it. You'll see the good. So
yeah, definitely.
I absolutely agree.
So sorry, tangent.
Things.
No, you're fine. Oh goddamn. No, Matt. He's like, Jay, wasn't I just banned for plugging my OnlyFans? I was banned, but not for that. Sorry.
How come we can't see the comments this time, Jay? Is it because they're coming up on? Well, I guess we could see them when they highlight. It comes up big.
Yeah, when I highlight them,
see the little...
you can see them. I know Ian won't see them because he's on his phone.
Yeah, I'm not seeing any. Right. That's okay though, as long as you can.
Yeah, because these all come from Facebook, Twitch, YouTube, so they're all going to one spot. Yeah,
that is
so
cool.
I get to see everything. But
let's go ahead. Do you do like a regular podcast or?
No, I used to, and I'll probably start a YouTube, but it probably won't be live. It'll be more like just how I do some of the things I do. There's a lot of cool things. Like Brittany's actually one of the people that we've talked about some of the things I do up here that are different than a lot of people that are really cool. I'll probably do YouTubes talking about how to do them after I've done a few more things like this where I've shown people what I do.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So yeah.
It was like before we started, he was showing like they almost look like they were floating. Like, how'd you explain that?
I can show you. It's just hard, guys, for everybody that doesn't know, I can't turn the camera around, so if I'm off, I apologize, but I'm going to try and show you. Basically, this is like your standard reptile setup. It's like just racks, right, on metal. Sorry, that's my sink. Yeah. Okay, racks, so what I've been doing with my attic, this was all just an empty, like, attic, not even insulated, is I've been doing like this where, let me see if you can see, where the tanks are hovering on floating shelves. So that, like, I'm sorry. So that like, you can see, you know, you have all that floor space and you can put stuff under, you can walk through. It's so much, because you lose so much space on a rack. If the rack's 24 inches and your tank's 20, that's 4 inches, 8 inches on each side. Yeah. So I've been doing that a lot. And what I've learned is if you use like kitchen counter shelves, brackets, they'll actually hold it up. You know, you don't have to worry about them falling or anything like that. So I've just been slowly putting this all together, but this is... Really quickly, since I'm up, if you don't mind.
That's a room. Wow.
The L. I call this the L. It's the side window. Then you have the main area, which is a mess. Like I said, I'm in the middle of moving everything around so that I can, as I'm moving, I'm building on the walls. So this is going to be a big U. I'm walking straight down the U. Then you turn left, and you have all that. I'm sorry, it's really hard to navigate backwards.
No, you're good.
Bigger than my local pet shop. I'm actually kind of.
And you have this little, that's a little bookshelf back there, book nook, whatever, but everything's in the way. And then this is the other side of what I call the U, which is right down there. And that's the hot area. That area gets real warm. I say real warm. The truth is it's an ambience of about 82. But with heat lamps, you know, they all get their specific.
Yeah. Nice.
Looks like you're keeping quite a few species, huh?
I do. And what's sad is I'm actually low because in California, I was actually up to about 300 and I think it was 327. And
like
now keep in mind,
species or all together. Like
well,
geckos.
my brag was I didn't have any more than 2 pairs of any species.
Oh,
so shit. It wasn't all different species, but it was, you know, like I had 2 pairs of Saracenorum, a regular and a white collar. I had 2 pairs of gargoyles. I had 2, you know, but I also had like, God. Multiple Europlatus, tons of Gonatotus, Sparadactylus. I was big on Pachydactylus in California. I had at least 9 different varieties of those.
Nice.
Yeah, I was all over the place. I really was. the only way to put it.
Nothing wrong with that
Any
though.
reason, or just your passion for reptiles? Any reason you collect?
I think I got lucky. I got lucky. You know, my whole life has been kind of, I'm going to say blessed, if you will, but think about it this way. You know, I grew up around a breeder, and then I go to, and then I marry this woman who gets me out of it, even though it's what I loved. And then I meet this other woman, and we hated each other when we met, for the record. Hated each other. Like, the first thing I ever said about my wife, my current wife, was that bitch is crazy. First thing I ever said, and I meant it. But and she said shit about me too. Don't you know? But then I meet her, and by chance, guys, we'd already been together for a couple of years, or well, at least a year. And there was a Sacramento Reptile Show advertisement, and she was like, "There's a reptile show coming up." And I was like, "You like reptiles?" She's like, "I love them. I grew up around my friend, my sister's boyfriend had a retic." And we just started talking, and it just kind of helped me launch really heavily back into it. And then, by chance, this is funny, but you'll love how this turns out. I go to a show. I meet this guy who has these geckos that I have not seen. I mean, I had not seen Pachydactylus, Heteronoshibinoi, you know, quite a few cool little geckos. So I buy, of all things, I bought a mealy from him because it was actually really cool looking. It was like a high. I still have offspring to give you an idea.
Okay.
But
is it the picture that you sent? One of the pictures that you sent me?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, cool. I'll show it off in a minute.
So I buy it from him, and he gives it to me in a container. And I go home, and I open it up, and I pull the barking gecko out, and there's a little Benoi in there. And he had in his rush, because I did that thing where I said I want it, but I'm going to look around. In his rush at the end of the show, he accidentally gave me one that had a Benoi still in a paper towel at the bottom of the container. Oh, wow. So I reached out to him, and I said, "Hey, bro, you accidentally gave me this. Do you want me to pay you, or what do you want to do?" And he was just like, "Well, I'll be at this show in a couple of weeks." So like 4 weeks later, I literally go back to the show, track this dude down, bring him his gecko, right? Totally not knowing him, nothing about it. Well, it turns out that was this guy named Paul Wool. And I kind of talked to you a little about Paul Wool. This guy, so a lot of people know Frank Palakaka. I like to call him Kalakaka. God, I hope. I love that guy. But this guy actually, him and Frank have been tight forever. And they actually, a lot of what Frank is known for now, Paul used to do. And then Paul had a kid and kind of phased out, and Frank took over. You know, it was like, so a lot of people don't know Paul, but this guy was Paul. And Paul really liked that I was like honest. You know, I wasn't trying to jip him. I actually contacted him and everything. And so we started to get to know each other. And I don't want to give out too much personal stuff, but Paul had stuff going on in his life that I had gone through, you know, as far as dealing with like a divorce and things like that. And so we really did. We got to know each other. It got to a point where we'd like go with him to like, we went to him like to this Funderland thing. It was like a thing more for the kid, but we all went. We'd meet up for lunch anytime. And so Paul eventually had me help him out sometimes when he was going, because we were all the way up in Sacramento, when he was taking geckos all the way down to the Pomona. A lot of people think of it as the LA show. It's actually Pomona, and now I think it's Anaheim. He would literally be like, "Hey, can you stop by? You're going to the show anyways," because I was. He'd be like, "Do you mind taking a box down there?" Well, I'd take the box down to his booth down there, and guess what? That's where Frank, John Garrett, the Bonehead group, as I call them, that's where they all were. It's not a knock. That's literally what they, yeah. But so that's how I got introduced to Frank and a guy named John Garrett, and then another guy whose name I can't remember. I want to say Jason, but he's big for the tortoise. He's known for his tortoises, and you know, it was really cool because that's how I hooked up with them all. And so back to my main point. My main point is that somehow it's just been like luck after luck, but with those little things that just kind of help you keep growing and learning in it. And so what happened was I suddenly, every time I'd kind of burnt out, because I was like, "Oh, I've already had this, I've already bred this, whatever." All of a sudden, here comes my wife, and she's like, "Well, I want to do it. I want to get into it." So we get into it again. And now I'm like burnt out again because I bred all the New Caledonia stuff. And now I run into Paul. And then I run into Frank, you know, and so over time, it just kind of became this thing where the ones that I keep are the ones that I really love. And I think I got to say this. I have to say this really quickly. New Caledonia geckos are great. They are. Lychees are impressive because they're big and, you know, all of them. But there's some geckos out there, guys, that they're just a whole nother level of social whole nother level of curious, whole nother level of vocal. I believe you had someone on here not that long ago talking about Piguensis that sound like a bird in your room.
Yeah, I got the Zabricus ones.
Okay, so yeah.
Yeah.
And so, guys, seriously, when you meet a booth, if you see a booth with someone who doesn't have just New Caledonia, talk to them. Wait till they're not overwhelmed, but talk to them because there's some stuff out there. I have literally had Williams Eye. A lot of people, the electric blue day geckos, that I put my hand in there and they will sniff it with their tongue and jump on my hand and just chill and look at me like, "What do you want, dude?" And people, they don't know that because they're intimidated by it. And then if they do buy it and they're intimidated by it, they don't risk letting that fast lizard out of their tank. So, ask, because I one thing I always do when I used to go to Frank or Paul or whoever, and they'll tell you, I would say, I don't care how pretty it is. I don't care how much everybody wants it. Tell me what I'll like about it. Because that's like a hell of a question to ask a breeder.
Sure is.
Because sometimes it's not Joe Hupp. I don't know. I don't know if you're familiar with him.
Never heard of.
He introduced me to the Kokies or Cochies, whatever you want to call them, and they laugh like a hyena at night. And I'd have never had a clue if I hadn't asked Joe specifically, bro, what's your most vocal, fun, like easier desert type gecko? I really knew what I wanted, what range, but I didn't know, I don't want, a common leopard gecko or even a mealy eye at that point. I was over those too. And so, it's like, ask them what is it they like? What's different about it? Because some of these things do some weird stuff, and I could probably give you 50 examples if I wasn't exhausted from the tornado warning last night. So yeah. Anyway,
no, for sure, that's half the reason that Jason and myself started this podcast. We
Yeah.
both recognize and realize the fear that comes with the unknown. And
Right.
so many people keep these New Caledonia species, and I do myself. I keep them,
Yeah.
but I also keep 15, 14 different other species.
Right.
But I appreciate and love all of just about every gecko, really.
Right.
And we wanted to start, exposing people and letting people know that it's okay to keep other species of geckos.
Yeah.
If you're keeping New Caledonian stuff for personal reasons, or you really, really love them or have a passion, then great. God bless you.
Yeah.
More power to you. But if you're just keeping a crested gecko because that's what you see everyone keeping and that's what everyone says is the easiest gecko to keep, well, we're here to tell you and show you that there's lots of geckos that are probably easier to keep than crested.
Oh, they are. Hands down. Yeah. The trick is finding the ones, I think the trick as far as letting people want them is finding the ones that are easier and as easy to tame down or socialize with. That's the trick, because I think people don't realize, like, I'll give you an idea. I never owned a bearded dragon in my life, and I'll tell you why. When I was young, once again, a long time ago, they were coming in. These weren't like, captive bred 30 lines down. These things were wild. And
F1s and stuff.
Yeah. And so I'm sitting there. They weren't F1s, but they were like F3s, like
pretty close.
You couldn't bring.
Still had some of that wildness in them.
And they always had the beard. I mean, if you came close to their tank, black, And so I grew up around bearded dragons that wanted to kill you. They hated you. I mean, that's all there is to it. They hated you. And so I never got into them, but what I'm getting at is look at them now. I mean, you see people walking around, they have dragon wings on them and they're hanging on the person's neck and they have a leash. And I think sometimes people don't realize that part of these animals that are like this, they're like this because they're, for a lack of better words, domesticated. They've kind of, I am convinced
all that wildness out of them.
And I am convinced that geckos, and I've been made fun of for this, and that's okay, guys, but I am convinced geckos have a genetic memory they pass on. Because I watch as this wild-caught animal thrashes, loses its shit if you look at it funny, does everything, and then 2 generations later, coming out of the egg, they trust you more than that parent ever did, even after 2 years of, and it's almost, you would think it would reset back to I'm wild and angry, but it doesn't. And so, yeah. So I think that it's really good to look at other geckos because you don't know. There could be the next bearded dragon, and it turns out to be, I mean, look at what they're doing with tokays now. Tokays, there was a time where you just did not see a tokay that wouldn't at least start screaming at you and nip towards you. Yeah. And now You see them on people. I have a friend who she's got videos of her giving 4 a bath at a time, just rinsing them off really lightly, but they're all on her hands. And they're just like, okay, it's bath time with mommy. And I'm going, are you kidding me? You know? So.
Mine's as cool as a crested gecko. Mine's.
Yeah.
She's a sweetheart.
Yeah. And the funny thing is, my calmest gecko is a Saracenorum. And that surprises a lot of people, but it's calmer than my. I have a Sarah. I take him to my shows. His name is Maple. I can pull him out later if you want. At the shows, he will sit on mine or Melissa's hat the entire show, except for that we'll put him in his thing just to give him a break from time to time, but he won't run. He'll just hang out. He doesn't care.
I never personally myself, I've never had one that was a spaz, and it's always like, I don't want to say an argument because I really don't argue with people now that I'm in my 40s, but people will always say, you can't hold them. They're super flighty. What do you mean? Don't take them out. Don't do this. I'm like, I've got a few, and I've had quite a few in the past, and I've never had one be a spaz. Yeah. So it's like,
I've only had one Sarah, and that thing was calm as all can be. It was chilling like a chihuahua.
Or what they don't do, maybe they just don't hold them. I mean, I'd imagine any animal, if you have it and raise it in a dark box and never touch it, is going to be a spaz when it sees light. But I mean, if you do
that's one element
with a crested gecko or a leopard gecko or anything else with a Saracenorum, they're no different than any of those other geckos.
So what I have learned, and for what it's worth, like the one that I'm talking about, he's 15 years old. I've been doing Saras for quite a while.
That's impressive.
What I have learned is the females, right at about what you would consider puberty. I don't know what else to call it, but right about at that point where, like, if you don't know your Saras very well, you're going to start going, is this one safe to breed yet? Because it feels like it's getting bigger, but it's not quite an adult. They get a little spazzy for a while. And my only guess is that maybe that's because in the wild, they know that they're at that age where a male might try to breed with them. I don't know. But they really are. I tell people it's like my teenage daughter phase. They go through this period where they're going to lose their mind, you know? Yeah, see, there you go. Right there. And that's what mine will do all day long. And what's funny is that, to most people, that's an adult, right? That's a very nice size Saracenorum.
Year
yeah.
And a half.
Right. This guy's 15, and all I've noticed is they get lazier. Once they're an adult, it really is, okay, I'm going to be 10% lazier this year. This year I resolved to be 20% lazier this year. And they hit a point where it's just like, I don't even want, they're like potheads. I don't know how else to put it. You know, they're just like, okay, you put me on the hat. I'm cool. I'm going to sit right here, you know?
Smoking a sphagnum.
Yeah, right? Seriously, they're just relaxed. So I think Sarah's, now if you Google it though, this goes back to that memory thing. If you Google it, when they first were coming in, they were definitely spazzy. And I don't even know that they were spazzy, scared spazzy, but they would move so fast that if it came out of your terrarium, and I have, on Artificer, I have a couple of posts showing this, you'd open the gate and you'd reach for them. And before you could react, they were on the wall in your house because they literally ran through that stupid little gap that Exoterra never fixed, where when you open Exo, it does this. Yeah. They run out and they're up on your wall. And so they were spazzy, but they are not like, that was, like I said, we're talking 12, 15 years ago that they were like that. They're not like that anymore, except for the females at a certain period. And they do grow out of it. So I don't know. Can I show you guys something really quickly? Because I know you.
Yeah. Go ahead, man.
I wanted to show this to people because I think it's really, this goes to your scientific versus common name. This is going to be tricky because I'm trying to do this kind of backwards. Okay. So this, bear with me, I'm trying to do two things at once here, but let's see, can we see this glass? I can't tell.
No. Keep moving.
Yeah, I see something.
Right there. I see a Goniasaurus hyenensis.
Yes. So everybody's going to say that's what you just said, or they're going to say a cave gecko, right? A Chinese cave gecko. So this is why the scientific names do actually matter. This, can you see that one?
Orientalis?
Yes. So that is a Japanese cave gecko or an Okinawa cave gecko. Ready for this?
Yeah.
But this one?
Is that Luai?
Nope. So it's all good. This wasn't a test. But my point was, these are all cave geckos, but the first one's Chinese. The other two are Japanese. They're all Goniasaurus.
Oh, is that the pink form? Or is that the...
I have pink form, but that's still Orientalis. Or they have another name for it now, I guess. I think they might have separated them out, but it was Orientalis when I was getting them back in the day.
Gotcha.
But I want to see if it's out.
There's I think they just came up with another
one. Sorry, I have a couple others too, but I wanted to point that out. You have two cave geckos that are yellow and black.
Mhm.
One is a Chinese cave gecko, Hainanensis, and the other is the Japanese, which is the Yamashine.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
So what happens to breeders is you'll get people saying, "Hey, I want that cave gecko." Okay, which one? The black and yellow one. Okay, the Chinese one. Okay, Chinese cave gecko. Okay, well now I'm going to give them a Hainanensis. And what they really wanted was the rare Yamashine. And so that's where that
Gotcha.
scientific name means a lot. And I'm saying
Oh,
this
yeah.
more for people, not for you guys. I know you know,
Yeah,
but
yeah. Well,
you know,
we had the same conversation with Wally last week talking about like velvet geckos. People say a
yeah.
velvet gecko, like there's a ton of them. So which
Oh, yeah.
one are you talking about here?
Right.
Wally is in the chat and he said, "Hey, what's up?" He said,
Wally,
"You're." Yep.
we spent the first, I don't even know how long, but quite a bit, just saying what a great guy you are. I don't even think we
We were
live.
talking straight shit.
No, we
about
weren't
you.
live.
Yeah, we weren't live. So it was all good. Just kidding, love you, Wally. So yeah, no, Wally, like I said, Wally, if anybody in here missed the beginning, Wally is definitely someone worth getting to know.
Oh yeah,
Amazing guy.
definitely.
I just want to cuddle him.
And of course, Wally's like, "Wait, there's more than one cave gecko?"
Right?
There's like 27, 24, 23, 24. How many is there now?
I don't even know.
I don't know. I just know that when I was doing it, there was like, I think 11 or 12.
Mm-hmm.
My branches are falling. You're good. Don't, if you hear that noise, it's my sticks. They fell over on the floor. I piled them
Don't
up.
worry.
I
I'm waiting
washed
to
them.
hear my Zabrekas start making noise. So
Yeah.
don't worry.
My bullfrog's gonna start, and then you guys are gonna think I'm all over here busting ass. It's my bullfrog.
So, do we know really quickly, is Brittany still in there?
I'm not sure, but
Let me know if he says
Wally
something
said smooches to you.
I love that man. I love that man. His wife's awesome too. They're an awesome couple.
Yeah. Nanette is great.
Yeah, talking about people who get together and share the hobby. That's an example there.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Anyways, I just wanted to show that because we had talked about the scientific names.
Oh yeah, cool.
Yeah, it's a
That's
great
what's up.
example. It's a perfect example, actually.
Yeah, and the ones you liked, the Wahlbergie, which I have one out over here. Those are another velvet gecko. They're just the Madagascar velvet geckos, and so it's just
those are Homophilus, right?
What's that?
Those are Homophilus Wahlberger.
Yeah, but the common name on those, they'll say it's a velvet gecko. Well, no, I thought this was. Yeah, these are the Madagascar velvet geckos. So these are the, you know what I mean? It's just, it gets crazy.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I'm getting a pair of Madagascar, or I'm getting the Blazodactylus Sakova on Wednesday. So
nice.
Like I said, I'll have those. I'll have Homophilus fasciata. I got Oeodora castellani, and I'm going to get some more. So, but I got all these velvet geckos just from different parts of the world.
Yeah, well, you got pictures of some of the ones I have. I know that.
Yeah,
of the Adela.
How many species do you have right now, Ian? Do you know? Do you have a rough number of how many you have right currently?
No, I probably could, because I have. So this is fun. It pisses Frank off. He got mad at me today because I'll send him a picture and go, "Hey, bro, what was the sub name on this one?" Because I'll be like, "Oh, that's a Xenosaurus," but I don't remember the last part. You know, the actual subspecies name. And he'll just give me so much shit, but it's so fun to do to him. But I have a spreadsheet that has everything. Like, I need it for tax reasons, obviously.
Cool.
But
Wally heard spreadsheet. He's going to say something.
I do. I have it. So I could count them out, I'm sure. I just haven't. And part of that's just I'm so busy moving shit around constantly right now. I like there's 2 tanks behind me that are empty that if it wasn't for between the tornado yesterday and doing the live today, those 2 would have been something pulled and moved there so I could start working on this wall here, you know.
Yeah.
So it's hard to keep tabs.
Got a question in the chat from Wally. He said, question, one gecko you have that should be in way more gecko keepers enclosures.
Awesome question. That should be a staple, Jay. We should ask every guest that. What's one gecko
That
you
is a
think
good question.
more people should
I think one of the things that's hard for that is, are we talking about somebody who's kept, like you said, all New Caledonians? Are we talking about somebody who's, you know, but as a whole, that's really hard because there's so many lizards that I'm loving right now. I am going to say it would be really good for a lot more people to mess with Cerdodactylus. And if they were going to start, I'd probably say either, like you said, the Peguensis, Zebracus, or, oh my gosh.
You just made it real for Jason there.
Right?
Oh, no. Yeah, or the...
I mean, I got Zebracus, I got Nebulosis, and I got Triatus.
Okay.
Like I said, Yeah, my Tritus don't make no noise, but my Nebulosis, I always tell people they're so elegant like a cat gecko.
Yeah.
And they're so small and they're pretty tame. They don't like run off or anything. You could put them in your hand. They don't bite. They don't do anything. They just kind of chill. No.
Yeah. Well, the Pachellis are like that. I used to hatch out the Pachellis, and I would put them on me like people put their gargoyles or whatever, and it would just sit on my shirt, you know. And I gave one to a good friend of mine. His name's Devin Gills. Sorry, Devin, I'm forgetting the name of your thing there on the West Coast. But he got one so tame it was literally like not quite slow New Caledonian gecko level, but definitely kind of like maybe Euromastix beardy level where it would just chill on his hand. You weren't going to walk around with it, but you could just enjoy it, you know. So that would be one for sure.
Pterodactylus Eloc.
Eloc's one of them for sure.
Yeah, those are really cool. I like those too.
I throw Pachellis out because, in my opinion, the Pachellis were the easiest.
Yeah, I mean, and they're a bigger gecko too, so it's a little bit more easier to handle than a micro gecko like a Nebulosis.
Yeah. Well, the Pachellis,
I mean, even Zabrake is not crazy big or crazy small. It's like that in between, and they don't really like. I could pick mine up real easy.
Oh yeah,
they don't run away or anything. So I mean,
yeah,
Pachellis is definitely one of those good ones.
I think to me, Pachellis is the one that I would tell somebody if they didn't have any Pterodactylus ever, but they kept like a gargoyle or something that was already tropical. It's easier to tell them, okay, so I want you to treat it like it's a tropical tank that you don't stress about misting all the time. You're just more like, you know, because it really is more like forest floor than rainforest floor. And my Pachellis, when I really hone those in, I'm doing nothing. Like, I'm not pulling eggs. I'm not incubating. I am literally just waiting for them to come to certain places. I have hide points, places I put where I have learned the babies immediately congregate to, and I can watch that every night. I have it for my Sarahs, I have it for my Chihuahuas. My Chihuahuas, I have it for the eggs. But I have places where it's like, I don't need to dig up all the dirt. I don't need to go on a big search. I know exactly where they're going to be, and I just make sure I check them every like 2 nights, you know? So I think Pachellis is one of the easiest to do that, to kind of auto cruise control it.
Okay, nice. So for your
Jay?
Huh?
What would you say if
for
one
what?
gecko needed to be kept in more homes? What would be your answer to that question?
Oh, I mean, it's one of the two. It's either going to be Pterodactylus or Stropharis for me. Well, I'll put Oreodora in there too because there's for Oreodora is like they're real handleable. They're arboreal, which a lot of people like, and then every now and then you can actually give them some gecko diet. And I mean, they're really chill. They're not spastic or anything. So those are some good things right there. And that like Stropharis for me is like like I said, they're the same thing. They're real chill, but they do have a defense mechanism if they wanted to use it.
Right.
And they don't use it. They're like, whatever, you know, I'm chilling. We're good. And
Same with
of course,
Agricola.
Yeah. Yep.
A lot of
we
people
always
don't
have this
know
conversation too. Yeah. No, we always like, or the whole Eurodactylodes genus, right?
Yeah. A lot of people forget that about those because they're so relaxed they never use it.
Yeah. You know, they can choose to use it, they just don't.
Yep.
So that just what makes them even a better pet for me. So that's Wally. He says Pterodactylus break us lose points because they wake me up in the middle of the night yelling at each other.
Thought you didn't sleep, Wally.
They're even more fun if you have a bird in your house because the bird hears it and loses its mind. True story.
Start talking back to it.
Yeah.
I thought that happened to me. Well, not with the Sabracus, but with the Nebulosis. The first time they ever chirped, I was in a totally different room. I'm feeding like my Chihuahuas and stuff. And I'm like, what the? Do I have a fucking bird in my place? Like, what the fuck is going on? I looked everywhere, and then I finally looked down. I see this little old guy like this big, just chirping his ass off. I'm like, oh shit, this is how loud you are. Okay.
Oh yeah. Yeah. No. I got one actually once from Frank. I was looking for a male, and it was a male. He sent me one, but he ended up sending me a trio because he just happened to have 3, and I was like, okay, I'll take them all. And the dang box, I was still like I brought them in the house, put them down, and I was just doing some last touch-ups to their tanks. The box starts freaking chirping. Like, they didn't even care that they were in the box. So they're there, and also when I was traveling, they were doing it on the road. They just don't care. If they get in the mood, they're doing it. But I gotta say something, Wally. For the record, this was outside of your range, so I couldn't say it. I think the number one thing I would recommend to a person who's had a few geckos that they wanted to try something, it would actually be when you've done geckos and you jump into some of these species of lizards I like to play with, it's like it's the whole different experience. It's just it's more diurnal most of the time, so you get a lot more activity during the day. A lot of the ones I keep learn to trust you. It's where you get into a lot more of the parthenogenic, live bearing stuff. The night lizards, like the ones I keep there, I blast if you like to do plants. You can literally have a full on dart frog terrarium, but with lizards. So I think that lizards often we almost treat it like it's snake and geckos when it's lizards and geckos. When the reality you got to do a gecko and you find a lizard from a similar area, you can do pretty similar of a setup, dimensions aside, and get some really rewarding stuff. So that's just where I'm at this point.
Valid points.
Yeah, I definitely need to get a lizard. I just don't know which one yet.
What other kinds of lizards are you working with? What do you have? You have Colodis?
I'm working with the Tachydromus, of course. I actually do the Tachydromus. I do black tree skinks.
Nice. I like those.
I do the night lizards. I do the Xenosaurus. Gosh, I have more lizards than I thought. This is an issue.
Do you have so your night lizards, are they the parthogenic ones?
Yeah, the live bearing.
We had a buddy of ours, Johnny Crisco, was on, and he keeps some, and he was briefly touched on, I guess, the complex or spec. There was quite a few different night lizards. Some are just regular breeders and pairs, and some are specifically and strictly parthogenic, and it's a very interesting little genus.
I'll show you a really quick example. Like I said, I pulled a few aside in case you had questions about any of the pictures, but this is what I like about my night. Give me 1 second. I'm going to try and make this so you guys can look at it. Like I said, it's trickier with me not able to look at the phone while I'm showing you. But like this is my night lizard enclosure for a baby. This is not my adult. But if you look, I'm trying to make it so you can see it all. Sorry.
Oh, wow,
there we go. So you have rainbow peacock fern. You have, you can literally treat it like you would a dart frog tank, And he's hiding here somewhere. Oh, he's right. I don't know if there's no way I'm going to be able to zoom in on him, but
no.
He's right there on that bamboo. If you can see the bamboo.
Spotted night lizard.
Yeah, this is the yellow spotted night lizards.
Okay, nice. And those are partho.
Oh yeah, live bearing and partho, and the largest. And the largest live bearers.
Oh shit! I'm about to get
a lot of people don't realize how big they get. They're let me see, probably about that big head to tail.
Really?
Yeah,
head like 18 inches.
I didn't know they got that big either.
Yeah, but that's head to tail, not not body. But yeah, they're big. They when you see them at the shows, even me when I'm selling them, I think the most I ever sell them is 6 inches, 5 inches, because people buy them before they ever reach adulthood.
Get to the full size, yeah.
But they're unpredictable. Like they're weird. They're very chill, but if you relax, they're gonna bolt or bite you randomly. I mean, I have never been more like, why are you biting me? I didn't even taunt you. What the hell is your issue with a gecko like I have with the night lizards? The adults only.
Yeah. So Wally said he went to the dark side last summer, and when he got his trio Xenogamba Taylori, he said he's loving them. Yeah, he's like he likes that active day stuff. So
they're active day. If you get an arboreal lizard, you get your geckos, and everybody loves it, including me. How your geckos will dive bomb on a cricket or something. Your lizard, you get an arboreal lizard, and they'll slither almost like a snake using their tail in a lot of cases to go down the vines in a hurry. And so, it's just a whole different experience. And like I said, I don't recommend one or the other over the other, but I feel like if you're just doing geckos and you don't reach out, you're kind of missing out on some stuff. Kind of like a person who's had turtles and never kept a tortoise. Yeah, they're kind of the same, but there's different personalities there. Different,
definitely. Yeah.
So, yeah.
I'm gonna get into some of these slides.
Keel belly, or either
love those things.
What's funny is I went to go get some bugs yesterday, and they ironically didn't have them. I had to go get them today. But I went down to Petco, and they had 2 green keel belly lizards on sale for 50% off. So instead of $200 a piece, I could have got both of them in the enclosure for 200, and I didn't because I didn't have an enclosure set up, and I didn't know much about them, and I kind of like panicked at the last minute instead of impulse buy, which I'm normally good at. But
They just remind me of mini monitors. That's
yeah,
what they
I
remind
find
me
those
of.
easy. I think that I would classify those as easy. Biggest thing is they're arboreal. A lot of people don't realize that, and they put them too low together, in a tank.
this place had
But
them.
I had a trio in the West Coast for I don't know about 4 years, and they were doing fine. The only thing is, you couldn't leave eggs in there. Mine at least would take the babies out in a heartbeat if they saw them. So yeah, whereas I don't have that problem with some other stuff. So
Interesting.
I'm gonna go ahead and get into the screen. So we're gonna disappear real quick,
that's
and
okay.
we're
'Cause
gonna
I'm
get to
gonna
this.
go downstairs while we disappear.
Okay.
I'm gonna be here, but I'm taking you with me.
All right. So you can't see us, but that's fine. All right. You
Can they
see the
see me?
screen? Yeah, they should be.
Me?
I don't know. People in the chat, can you see us and the screen? Because I got the PowerPoint up with all his stuff on it.
You guys are
So
putting me
let
on
me
blast.
know. All right.
Is that you as a kid in the top picture? You can't even see it, can you?
Yeah, that's me.
Really?
Yeah, that's what I was. That was me back when I was.
81.
Yeah, like I said, that was 81. So I was. I don't know. I was born in 74. So whatever that is.
Really?
I'm tired, man.
I was born in 83, so that's like.
Yeah, that was a spiny-tailed iguana.
All right. Everybody says they can see us still. That's all right. Cool. All right. So start hitting these slides. Now, is this this is Pacellas, right?
That's Pachellis. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. That's my breeding. I believe that's my male, from what I can tell here. That's part of my breeding pair right now.
Cool. It kind of looks like a cave gecko almost.
The first time I ever saw one, I thought it was a cave gecko, but the first one I saw was actually the Tridus.
Oh,
Because
really?
they have that cave gecko look to them too. Yeah.
Yeah. They just they had like the little bit of like those yellow spots and stuff.
Exactly.
Pretty gecko.
Now
So
this is Homophilus, right?
That's the Wahlberg. Yep.
Yeah.
And that's
So what's the difference between them and like the fasciata? Like, I guess environmentally wise.
so. I'm going to be real with you. In my experience, over time, this is not what I did the first time, but over time, I have started to do what I call gradients, which is where I'm all three can be kept in the same tank if you're doing a gradient, not in the same tank together, but I mean in the same setup. If you're making sure that you have your wet area versus your drier area versus your high, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They all are basically like a gargoyle gecko that you didn't mist enough. I don't know how else to put it. I really do. That's how I tell people. I honestly treat them like a dry forest floor. If you ever went through a walk, not rainforest, but like if you go for a walk, probably not Arizona because you guys are crazy. Like you, north, the forest isn't wet. It's like this dry forest floor.
Yeah.
To where there's even cracks in some places. That's what I keep mine in. I can show you when I go back upstairs. I haven't noticed a difference, but what I do make sure is I always have. This is one of those things I was talking about where one day I'll do YouTubes. I actually give you a step by step, but I have my cork barks like that so that when the mist kicks in, there's these areas, pockets in a corner that provide with plants to provide that humidity bubble. But then on this side, I don't have the cork or the cork's flat, so you don't get as much of the humidity on that side. That's a dry hide. And so what happens is this whole tank, like if you pretend this square of the screen is the top looking down at the tank. This side's wet, drier, 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 dry, hotter, hotter, cooler, 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 cool. And if you kept one of the homophilus, you can really get away with any of them as long as you're following that gradient. Now, if you want to get into specifics, I felt like my Blaze liked it a little more humid. But I honestly, none of them have ever expressed even stress signs. They bred happily, they ate happily with a gradient setup. Yeah. And of course, I'm sorry, I just need to mention leaf litter. Leaf litter helps a ton because it helped with the humid hide side.
Okay. Oh, you good? Yeah, because I know like what. So talking with David Kelly, for like the fasciata, he was like, just keep them dry, keep it hot. So I was like,
Dry,
okay, cool.
yep, dry forest floor with an escape, and he probably, I'm sure he knows this. He's like me right now, and I just remembered the leaf litter. Heat's great. You just want to make sure they can get out of it, just like you, if you want to get out of it.
Yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, I got plenty of like cork stacked up all different ways in
Exactly.
there, just so they
Yep.
can get away from the heat.
Yep.
You
Yeah, it's
hopefully I
good.
get eggs this year. I don't know. We'll see what happens. I'm just kind of just leaving them alone and not even doing anything with them.
So I was watching your last podcast, not your last one, but the one where you were talking with, I want to say it was the Pachellis breeders, and they were saying how it
Yeah.
was like, oh gosh, these eggs, they took like, I think it was like
Yeah.
80 days or something. And I remember, first of all, I loved what they had to say. So I don't want them to think I'm saying something bad. I loved that one actually. And I loved how into it they were. But I'm sitting there going, let me give you one of my Wahlberg eggs.
I'm not looking forward to that with these fasciatas. They're
Yeah,
like,
when
yeah,
they
it's gonna be like like 4 to 6 months. I was like, holy shit.
oh, that's lucky. That's no.
Don't tell me these are longer.
I was showing Paul, and I think even Frank. In fact, I'm pretty sure it's on Alimony Hobbies where I actually marked the actual. I showed the day it hatched, and on the deli cup it has the day they were dug up. And I had some that went well over 200 days, well over.
Whew, that's
And
monitor territory.
I had given up on them. Even I wasn't even. I'm usually. I mean, I'm just being real with you guys. I'd rather be real.
No,
Than,
that's cool. That's cool.
but they hadn't hatched, and others had hatched, and of course, yeah. But long story short, it's not that I didn't take care of them. I did, but I wasn't venting them every day like I would. I wasn't, it had hit a point where I was like, I'm just not throwing them away, probably just out of stubbornness, whatever. And then they all started popping. And it was like 4 that did that. So, but I also don't cook most of my eggs very much at all. I really go on the
I was
lower.
just about to ask you, what was your incubation like for them?
It was probably about 79, 80.
Okay. Was that like straight up room temp, or did you actually use an incubator for it?
I
To
don't
keep a
use
steady
incubators.
temp?
I only use
Okay.
incubators for desert. What I do is I actually
Gotcha.
put them on top of the rack where my lights are. So if the lights are down here, and this is the grate of the rack, I put the eggs here on the
Okay.
grate. And then what happens is the heat. I have a
Yeah.
thermometer there, but that's how I do it. But I
Okay.
have noticed, and I'm gonna post. I just wanted to post an update with the actual Chihuahua now that it's all dry and everything. But I had a Chihuahua hatch the other night, and I
Yeah, I
have
saw that
noticed.
one.
Yeah, I have noticed that my animals, when I don't cook them, and I don't mean cook in a bad way, you know what I mean,
Yeah.
they come out more just lively. I don't know how else to put it. They have that energy to burst. And this little thing, like you'll see it's right out of the egg. And it's not doing that I'm lethargic thing. It's literally like, oh no, you ain't touching me, fool, I'm gone. He's
Oh yeah. Mine are
full of
spastic
energy.
when they hatch out.
Yeah.
Dang.
But he's got all this energy. He's jumping, he's doing everything. And I've come to find that when I incubate, it almost feels like maybe in a weird way I'm rushing to a point where I don't know. I just find that the ones that I let incubate as long as they want to incubate seem to come out bigger and more energetic. I don't know how else to put it.
They always say like, leave them in there. Like you let them incubate for like without that heat, and they just
Yeah.
kind of do it on their own. Yeah,
Yep.
I've always heard that they come out bigger.
Yeah.
I know. I tried it. Like I did it for like my Chihuahuas. I did
Uh-huh.
one in the incubator and then one not in the incubator. I
Uh-huh.
mean, for me, they came out both the same size.
Hmm.
They both ate crickets right off the bat.
Chihuahuas with
Yeah. Like I don't sell a Chihuahua until it's eating crickets. Like
okay.
that's just me. I don't. I'm a person that believes in the wild. They eat more bugs than they eat this damn diet. I was like, fruit is not going to be available year round. There's going to be
Well, you just nailed
seasons.
it. You just nailed it.
Yeah.
I believe it's a seasonal thing.
Yeah.
And I believe if
Just
you
like,
watch,
you go to the grocery store, right?
yep.
That stuff's not it's not available because it's not in season. Same thing out there in the wild.
No, you're absolutely right. And I'll tell you who demonstrates it the best is lychees. You'll get people who I will get people. I used to breed and sell lychees a lot. I still have the lychees, but I don't really sell them anymore. But I get people who would say, "Hey, my lychee, it won't eat crickets no matter what. It won't eat this no matter what. It only will eat Pangea." And I'd say, "Do me a favor, wait till the next weather shift and try it." And lychees are a trip because even our breeders, they would eat Pangea, eat Pangea, eat Pangea. And I would literally tell myself, this is when I was first messing with the lychees heavily. I should say my wife because it was her. But what I was doing the feedings and what I noticed one day out of the blue, I threw some crickets in the tank next to them. By the way, it was my patellas. And the male lychee saw the crickets through the glass to the other tank and dove down to the cork bark, like doing this to the glass, And I was like, what the hell? And so I threw crickets in it, sure as hell. So then I was like, okay, well, these guys are bigger than that, so I'm going to try some dubias. I started to mess around, and they would eat. And then, I don't know, like 3 months later, Melissa might remember, but it was like 3 months later, boom, they weren't touching them again. It was like they never, ever, ever ate them. And then, once again, at some point, when I'm throwing them in a tank next to them, you notice the lychee's interested again. And it's just, I really do think that's a seasonal thing,
Yeah.
It would make sense. I'm going to take the shot real quick, just so you know.
Go ahead, brother.
Thank you guys both for having me. Love y'all.
Oh, for sure, man.
Hope we do more.
Cheers.
It's old tradition on TikTok.
What are you drinking, buddy?
I have a drink or two when I'm talking with friends.
What are you drinking? What was that?
So what I'm doing, that one was just regular, but what I've been doing, I say I've been doing like I've been drinking all night. I think that's my second one. But I put I like to put Ghirardelli liqueur in with peanut butter whiskey.
Oh, I've had that.
Yeah.
The peanut butter whiskey, man.
So if you add the Ghirardelli, you'll get a Reese's peanut butter cup.
Man, don't tell me that.
Yeah.
I love Reese's.
Oh no, they're good, but they're dangerous.
Yeah. Melissa says she ended up with dubia breeding in her lychee tank at first.
There you go. That's how it was. And then out of the blue, and this is one of those advantages to having your tanks next to other tanks. One day it saw crickets on the other side of the tank and went nuts. It just was like, I don't know if it was the weather, like I said, a season thing, because let's face it, fruit doesn't, most fruit doesn't fruit all year. So I get the feeling that it's seasonally trained, or it could be a breeding thing, hey, I need that extra protein right now. But yeah, they would shift, for sure.
This is your Underwood source Millie, right?
Yeah, that's the barking gecko. That's the one I was saying that is literally the one that I got from Paul.
Mm-hmm.
The actual one or the offspring?
No, that is the either it or it was either that one or the male.
Okay.
How
old are they? How long have you been keeping this? The one that you got from him?
Shit, the date's upstairs. Well, it was California and it was a long time ago, so I'd say at least 10 years. Maybe 15, maybe 13. Somewhere in that range.
That's what I like to hear.
What was that? I heard.
Working with them?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
How do you think they make for pets? How do you think they make for like a kid's pet?
I think as long as you don't forget that they're not leopard geckos, you're going to be fine. I say that because I've had Melii that, like, these two are sweethearts. I can put my hand down. I used to have tanks that had a screen front too that I would use for some of my warmer weathers. And I had them in that. And when I pulled the screen down, you could put your hand out and they would smell it, climb up your arm, and then randomly go, okay, that's enough, and turn around and go back in the tank. But I've had other Melii that if you put your hand out like that, they'll sit there and then they'll decide, yeah, I don't feel like doing it, and they'll bite you. So I think it just depends on how you feel about that. They don't have a hard bite, but
Yeah. Almost like a dry bite.
Yeah, you could say that.
Little bluff. Like a hog nose when they try to fake strike.
No, it's a bite, but it's not.
Oh, okay.
It's not like a draw blood, Like I guess what I'm saying is a leopard gecko actually bites harder, in my opinion. So, but they're great pets. They scream. The female screams when she wants to get busy.
Oh shit! I've never actually heard them make noise. Well, I
Oh,
mean,
I
I've
have it
never had
recorded.
any. I've always heard no. They call them the barking gecko, but I just never actually heard them before.
Yeah, and I don't know why they call them barking geckos. I've never heard what I would consider a bark. Honestly, it sounds like if you didn't know better, you'd swear like, oh my gosh, one of my amelia like killing the other one. And I did some
So,
research. This was back in the
murder
day, and it turned
screaming
out,
gecko is not a good name.
yeah, well, it's screaming, and it turns out it's the female, and she's literally doing it because she wants the male. She wants the male, which was weird. But yeah, that's it's the weirdest call. It's kind of like a like when a baby cries and it kind of messes with you, like something's wrong. That's what these
Yeah,
do
yeah.
when they scream. They trigger something. At least with me.
Oh man.
Interesting.
Uh,
So we have a
Wally's like
viper
I've
gecko.
had them bark one time in over 15 years.
Who said that?
Wally.
Oh, okay. See, I've never heard a bark. I've just heard the scream.
He might be meaning that as well, but
Yeah. Yeah, to me, like a
mhm.
tokay sounds more like a bark than what I've gotten out of my amelia.
It's okay, barks, like, for sure.
Yeah, yeah. See, to me, that's a bark. The amelia is more just like a. This is so sad. I'm gonna be recorded doing this, but what the hell? It's just like a kind of noise. I don't know how else to put it. You really will think someone's killing it, or something's happening to it.
We just got a question in the chat from Arachnid Cat. Um, said, "Hi friends, can I buy a leopard gecko from Florida and drive it back home to New York without boxing it?"
Sure,
Uh,
I wouldn't suggest
if
leaving it
you,
on your lap as you drive. You might jump off, but
I mean,
if it,
I've put geckos in bins and drove them from Arizona to Texas. So, and there were leopard geckos too. So, I mean, they're pretty hardy. So I'm sure they would
yeah, why
be
not?
okay.
yeah, my number one thing would be just make sure it's not in the sun.
Yeah.
Whatever you have it in, make sure it's not in the sun. Like the biggest mistake I've literally, you guys don't even know some of the things I've seen people. Melissa's going to get triggered by this, but people will take something in a clear cup or a clear, whatever critter carrier or whatever, and stick it in their back seat in the sun, and then they get home and their
Hmm.
animals been cooked from the heat
Fried. Yeah.
with the plastic.
Doesn't seem like common sense, though. That's like,
I can't even
Yeah.
remember what.
I'd always cover mine up. Like I'll put
Yeah.
like a blanket over it or something.
Yeah.
So all that. I mean, I live in Arizona, so I need to
Oh yeah.
defeat that sun some way somehow and blast my AC.
You know what I've found really works well for that if it's not like a overnight type trip, is Chinese food boxes. I know it
Hmm.
sounds weird, but it's cardboard, so it doesn't cook as hard, and it's you can put it anywhere.
so when I go to
Those little
reptile
cards.
shows, I bring my soft, Arctic soft coolers. Like the
Mm-hmm.
soft lunch boxes, and I'll always
Yep.
stick the cups and those things.
Yep. Yeah, if you're dealing with the plastic, I do everything I can to make sure there is no chance of that cooking thing happening.
Yeah. So these are what viper geckos, and do you
Yes.
have yours in like colony settings?
I do, but I am going to tell you right now, and this is what I love about this hobby. Okay, uh, I honestly feel like Frank and Wally are way better authorities on these.
Mhm.
Because I do have colonies, and I've had babies here and there, but I wouldn't say I've honed them in. I only started working with them when I moved here, and it was because I went to the Florida show and saw a couple and thought, oh, what the heck. Whereas I know Wally's putting them out like diarrhea.
Like gangbusters.
Here are awesome little geckos.
Oh, they are
Oh,
amazing. I love them. I love them. I ignored them forever, and I really regret it. Frank tried to get me back into them at a Pomona show a good, I don't know, 8 years ago or so. And I ended up going with something else because he had a lot of cool stuff. And I really never felt like I missed out until I got them. And now I'm like, okay, no, these are pretty badass. I like them.
Do you keep pictus geckos also?
Wally does Pictus. I did Pictus, and I like Pictus. They're not really for me,
Really?
but I
I was
like them.
going to ask because I hear they're one of those species too, where people that have never had them wind up getting them, and they're like, "Oh, I don't know how I even had these in,
Yeah.
forever. I got them. I love them. I haven't had it myself either. But
I actually think, now that you say that, I think Pictus might be another species that I would recommend for someone branching outside of New Caledonia. Because if you listen to, like, if you get them from someone like Frank or Wally,
yeah,
and you say to them, hey, how do you have them set up at your house? And they tell you, you're going to be just fine as long as you don't keep them together and the male breeds the female to death. Because that is one of the, that was one of the things I ran into. The male, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, we've had other people that have said the same. Remember Jake was
Yeah,
saying
yeah,
how
yeah.
him and his father, we met people from all over the globe, literally, that love those things, like
Yeah.
love them.
They're great. They are horny.
Yeah, that's why I have not paired mine yet. I'm not ready for that rabbit factory of.
It is. That is probably the best description. I had a female. I inherited it, and I went to a show and I found my male. And me and Melissa were like, okay, we'll put them together. Let's hope they don't fight, right? And we're doing the whole let's watch them thing, right? That I swear his back foot wasn't even off of my hand, and he was already running to the female and locked up with her. So do we want to keep I don't think they're going to kill each other. Do we want to keep watching, or should we look away? Meanwhile, they're just all like, and I'm just like, okay. And so
Wally said he's gonna steal that phrase too.
It's true.
Putting out peridot picked up like diarrhea.
Yeah. They are fun. And another one that I'd love for Wally, I don't think he's in these. I was in them for a while and I loved them, and I cannot for the life of me at this moment remember the full scientific name, but they're the skunk geckos, and they're another paradura.
The skunk gecko?
They call them skunk gecko. It's not your white line gecko that you're thinking of.
Oh, okay.
It's another paradora. This is that same crap I was talking about with cave geckos. Where everybody's got the same name for multiple species.
Yeah,
I'm sure Wally will know what I'm talking about, but they're
Wally,
more
chime in.
Yeah, they're more arboreal, and they have like a line down them. They're not. They're just cool. Gosh, I wish I could remember the scientific name of them. And they were calling them skunk geckos, and they're a relative of the paradora, and they're like paradora that climb on vines, and I loved them.
What is that right there?
Oh, Peridora gracilis?
That gracilis.
Okay.
Yep. Those were fun, and I have not seen them since.
Wally was right.
This is a long time ago.
Wally has some.
If Wally has them, Wally, I want dibs on a pair.
Oh, you heard that right here, Wally. You heard that.
Those were fun. I loved those.
Is this an anole?
Yes, that's a small wood eye.
That's what I thought it was.
That's one of my babies. I hatched 4 out last year. I'll probably be hatching out way more this year.
That's a beautiful lizard.
Kind of a work in progress on their terrarium, but I had 6. I'm sorry, not 4. And I love those. Yeah, the small woody, that's another lizard. Sorry, like I said, I forgot how many I had.
Yeah. Oh.
But I love them. The male is almost always, probably right now when I go back up, if I put a light on him, he's probably glowing with color. He doesn't tone down when he sleeps. The female can get kind of darker, especially if she's gravid and she doesn't want the male near. Kind of like chameleons do. But they're fun. They learn believe it or not, they learn what Pangea is, and they will, if you care to.
Oh yeah, we've had a couple people on for some anoles.
Mm-hmm.
I think Crown Giant. What's his name? John. I forgot it. But yeah, no, we talked about some of these as well. Like that was one of my. If I was not going to get a gecko, it would be an anole, just because there's similarities.
And if you get a larger species, it's just fun. Having a big lizard that'll come right up and start licking Pangea from a dropper or something because it knows what it is, they are a blast. They're great they're really good for like doing videos and such. They're awesome.
Yeah. Well, Wally just said he lost his about a month ago.
Oh.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, but I didn't want to jinx it. The hard thing about the gracilis was that you'll be doing great with them. They're almost like some of the Europlatis, where you'll think you're doing great and then they just crash.
Yeah.
but they
Yeah,
they
he
are
said
fun.
we did say Jake got some from Just Geckos, so hopefully we'll see
Wow.
what happens with that. So might have to import some in.
What do we got next here?
Does that look like a Homophilus right there,
Yeah, that's not Homophilus. That's oh
or
my
is
gosh.
that Bovani? Or, I mean, not
No, I'm
Blaziodactylus.
thinking starts with a T. Rapidactyl, Rapicola,
Nope,
Rapicauda,
don't even know.
Rapicauda,
Okay,
Pesodactylus rapicauda. Trying to remember the
sure.
name. Anyway, I'm hatching those like bait. Those things hatch. Those are okay. I gotta say this. Those and most, not all, but most of your Hemidactylus, they're basically house geckos in that it's really hard to go wrong with them if you just give them the right setup.
Yeah.
Those guys literally are hatching. Most of them, I find them in the tank. I'm not even.
Really?
I need to show you this. Remind me when I go back upstairs. Uh, I want to show you where they go to in my tanks, and it's a great thing if you do Sarah and Sonorum. If you do like so many different geckos, it's a great
Yeah.
little trick. But I find most of those guys in my tank or under leaf litter in the tank still. But I pulled some out because, like I said, I've been moving tanks while I'm doing the walls. So when I move the tanks, I'm like, well, I'm already doing all this. I might as well replace everything, do a clean start on the tank. And so those are the eggs I pull from the cleaning of the tank.
Yeah. That's your Semeti, right? Or not
Not
Semeti,
meant.
Guntheri?
Yep.
Yeah.
Guntheri. Now I have a story. That story I was telling you about.
Yeah.
This Guntheri, it was a pair, and I had them in California. I actually had, well, I had quite a few in California, but I was down to a pair when I was moving, and they had laid an egg. Like, I'm not joking. I want to say it couldn't have been more than 4 days before we moved to Georgia from California, for those that don't know. And I had already sold a crap ton of my collection to a guy out there named Jeff, who he was opening. I didn't know this. He had mentioned it, but bottom line is he was opening up a pet store. So he was ready to come in and just buy what I was not going to be able to take. And so I said, okay, he came over and I gave him killer deals, but I also like for example, if I'd gotten that egg 3 or 4 days earlier than that, I would have probably handed him the egg. I was like, at least they're going to be in a RV for 14 days. So anyway, they laid the egg. I stuck it in a deli cup with some with vermiculite, and just went, this ain't gonna happen. And I had quite a few eggs like that from my gargoyles and stuff, as I had emptied everything out to move it. The damn thing was the quickest one to hatch out of all of them. The Europlatus egg hatched a healthy baby Guntheri. Unfortunately, same sex as the adult. That I ended up losing my male, and the baby was a female, so I got rid of that one too, which sucks because I have since then. Good luck finding them. If somebody has a male Guntheri, I'm game.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've
Only
never
person I
seen
know that has
I haven't
Gunther
seen
Eye
these.
is Mike Tatula up in Canada.
I was going to say
So,
not in America.
Around
That's
at
the hard
all.
part.
nope. Yeah.
Really don't even know much about them. I haven't found much information about these things either.
I actually think, and I know this is different for everybody, so please, anything I say like this, guys, don't think I'm knocking anybody. I really do think people have different gifts, but I think that the Gunther Eye and the Sakare are the easiest that I have dealt with. Both of those are just, you know, for whatever reason, the way I take care of geckos and the way they want to be taken care of, it just syncs really well. And I've kept quite a few Europlatus. I've kept Satanics. I've kept Lineatus, Fimbriatus, and I didn't kill them. Actually, a lot of them went to my friend Jason over time, but I just never had a really true pattern with the others like I did with these guys. These guys, it was just like any other gecko where it's like, oh, it's time for me to start looking at them. Time to start looking for eggs, Whereas the other species were a little trickier to get to really hone in on breeding and everything.
Are these guys sexually dimorphic like most of the other Europlatus? Can you tell the differences between the? Well,
Yeah.
you know what it means.
Yeah. You can tell the boy versus the girl, same way as as most geckos. But it's been a long time, so I couldn't. It's been a long time since I've looked, to be honest. The only reason I know it's still the females because she's still laying duds.
I mean, with like
No,
pattern wise,
I knew it was. No.
Sicarays, the males will have like a barky pattern, the females will have a mossy pattern. Do the
Mm-hmm.
Gunther eyes differ
Yeah.
with patterns?
Now you got me trying to remember if I noticed any differences. The hard part was I bought them as what they were. I knew what they were, so I never really.
All right.
Yeah, I'm sorry. You know what though? If you don't mind, hit me up with a message on Facebook, and I'll go back through my old photos and shit. Maybe we'll learn something together.
It's because I can't find much information on these guys, and I was actually just having a conversation with someone about the Semeti and the Sicaray, and he was, explaining all these reasons to me on why he thinks they're easier to keep than the Sicaray is, and these guys came up, and I'm just curious. I couldn't.
I would put these and Sicaray in the same difficulty range to breed. Honestly, they both for me were not an issue. And one thing I will say about them is they're much hardier. They don't. I've had Satanics. Now you have to understand the Satanics I had was back when they were all still CITES, so you could only get them locally. There weren't a ton around. There's a lot more Satanics nowadays, but back then I had a pair of Satanics that Melissa can tell you. If we moved the tank, not the Gecko, no handling the Gecko, no nothing. If I moved their tank over on the rack, they would go through a stress check.
Real.
They are sensitive.
Yeah, we called them the tiptoe geckos.
I love them, but people put the fear of God in me.
I love them.
Refuse to lose that much money on a gamble.
I loved them, but I'll tell you, like the Sicaray and the Gunther, I just did not suffer, and the Fimbriatus, honestly, did not suffer that level of sensitivity at all. They were just like, okay. I mean, I have pictures on Artificer geckos with the Fimbriatus all over my chest and whatever. They just didn't stress like that. So,
And this is, I can't even fucking pronounce this one. I know it starts with a B, right? This Goniosaurus right here.
no.
No, that's
Now
not.
now you're gonna make me watch it. Now I want to see if you know what it is.
I thought it was that.
If it's not a
Boswellum.
Goniosaurus, then I don't know. I thought it was the.
It's a Goniosaurus. It's not Boanglenensis, if that's what you were thinking.
That's the one I was thinking
Yeah,
of. Okay.
that's what I thought it was.
No, it's Oh my gosh! See, now you jinx.
Is
It's
it the one
Ariana.
with the Y Ying?
No,
What the
it's
hell?
Arianas.
All right.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, those. Okay, so I got to tell you one thing about those guys that was really unique. So you see how the cave goes almost all the way up to the top?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was gonna ask you now. This background that was all you. You made that.
So yeah, it's kind of cool. Okay. This picture I did contrast so you could see everything really well on the gecko itself. But the rocks, when you look at them in normal light, the rocks look the same as the cave. So that little rock down there at the bottom left,
Oh, okay, gotcha.
lighter,
Down here.
that's a real rock. But the other thing is a cave I built. And it was really cool because the way it was built was that the side that you see there going up against the glass actually had peekaboos so that you could take window tint, put it on the glass, just the peel and stick stuff that comes right off from static, and darken it out. And then whenever you wanted to see them or see if they had a baby, you would just peel that off and they'd be in that little cave peekaboo. Because that whole thing's hollow in there.
Okay.
And so they could go into it and disappear. But whenever you wanted to check on them, you could. And that thing was so strong that it managed to hold up a grown man, and then my wife jumped on it and broke it. But it was actually very solid. So what my wife did different, the guy who stood on it, he like stepped and then like put his other foot on it on the other foot of the cave, because the cave had legs. My wife just like walked up and put a foot in the middle and pushed herself up to get on it, and it just like went, nope, I don't work that way. Physics, nope. Because my wife was like, I want to say my wife was like $110, but she managed to break it. Meanwhile, this other guy, he's like a guy, gotta be at least 200, stood on it on the legs and it didn't break.
Damn.
What is it made out of? What'd you make it out of?
So it's that one there, if memory serves, this was a while back. It was foam with foam coat, which is basically grout with extra sand in it. And then when that's done, what you do, and this is like so funny because it really is the easiest way for me at least, I would just coat it over and over and over in regular water-based like acrylic paint setups, the safe stuff. what I always used was patio paint. I don't even think they make it anymore, but it was called patio paint. It's just a little craft paint. And the reason I knew it was safe is because I used to use it on things I would stick in saltwater aquariums. And I mean, you want to talk about sensitive. You put something in a saltwater tank, a reef tank, that has anything wrong with it, your pH will bomb quicker than you can, say the sentence. And so that's how I knew it was pretty safe, because it wouldn't affect corals or fish or anything in the saltwater tanks. But what I found about it is, like, you see how it's that rock's kind of marbled. Well, that's from layer upon layer upon layer. And every layer you did, I mean, it really did seal it even more solidly. So that by the time it was done, it was just this big, like, I could knock someone out with it. Which was great, though. It water trickled down it really well. I just loved it. Yeah. Anyway.
Which Phelsuma is this one?
Borbonica.
Borbonica? Okay.
Yeah.
Dang, that's actually pretty red.
They are really cool, and they're very colorful. That's a normal, like, day of the week type thing.
Yeah.
When they're getting in the mood to get kinky, the males, they are. I have some photos on my page. The males, they blow up with color. They are gorgeous.
I'm guessing it's probably like the same care as like all the other day geckos.
Same care as the other ones I've kept, which are most of the, well, no, not same care as the more common ones people keep. Let's put it that way. Like the standing eye, and
yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. The thing that's tricky about those, the really tricky thing about those guys is that it's harder to get males for some reason, kind of like the whole lychee and other things out there, where if I have 5 babies, I'm lucky if I get a male.
Okay, so producing wise, it's hard to get males.
Exactly. Other than that,
that's the same thing with like gargoyles too, right?
I haven't experienced it with gargoyles. I've experienced it with lychees and Sarahs. With Sarahs, it's the opposite, though. It's harder to get females.
Wally asked if are you breeding these Barbonicas?
Yeah, I have babies. I have a couple, and I was just waiting to see what they turned out to be. I have one that
I know a guy.
I have at least one that I'm pretty sure I could sex right now. But yeah, those guys are breeding, and so are my oh my gosh, what are the other ones? My Borbonica and my crap. Now I'm drawing a blank. I'll remember in a minute. I might even see a picture in a few. I don't remember if I sent you.
So with the like these day geckos, do you have to? Only way to find out is like looking at their pores, right? Because they don't drop balls, right?
Right. You look at pores. So the cool thing about Phelsuma that a lot of people don't know, if you're not in a hurry, it's only a problem if you're a breeder and you're trying to offload.
Yeah.
Is if you let them hit adulthood, and when I say that, I mean, like, in some cases as quick as a year, sometimes even sooner, they get almost like shingle pores, not just pores. Like, you cannot miss them. And so it's kind of cool because at that point, there is none of this. Well, it looks like a female, but it might at the last minute decide, no, my name's Bob, not, Jennifer. If they get those shingles, and I say shingles, it's just a random word I'm choosing, but if you ever see one, and if you want, I'll send you a picture afterwards, and you'll be like, oh yeah, I see exactly why you call them shingles.
Okay.
They look like roof shingles that are about to fall on their port.
Christina says that she feels like it's temp, but you can't really move the eggs unless you get lucky and they're on the door of the plant.
So she's right. Absolutely. I do think there's a little more to it, but I don't know if it's species wide. Here's something for you to try, hun. And I say that only because I was in the process of this with my Williams eye. My Williams eye, I had some eggs, and one of them, it's exactly what you said, that they lay them and you can't pull them out. You can't do this. And then I had one that laid on a snake plant. So I just said, screw it. And I cut, because it was right at the tip. I cut just like that much of the snake plant, and I put it in a separate thing that was way more humid. And that one came out as a male. So then I tried it a couple more times, and it seemed almost like it wasn't just the heat, it was the humidity. I know that sounds weird, but it was almost provable. Melissa can tell you, we had gotten to a point where if I had kept doing them, this was once again, California before I moved, I stopped doing a lot of stuff I was doing. I might have been able to prove it out. It seemed like the higher humidity made a difference too. So yeah, just food for thought. But she's right. They're a pain in the ass, and getting them out, if they decide to use a corner or something, good luck.
I love these guys.
This is Fimbria, right?
Yes, sir.
Oh man, damn.
Those are Fimbria.
I'm starting to see that comeback of those other Fimbrias. I started seeing all these people post Fimbria. I'm like, god damn.
Well,
like our boy Lando or Landon, like they just got a Oyadora haul that just came in. Like they got Cincta, Fimbria, Monolith, Kogai, Castlewini. Thought there might have been a Mamorata in there somewhere.
Right.
I'm like, I was like, god damn. So it makes like I said, my whole Velvet Gecko fascination, it just went just mind blown.
They're awesome, and they're I think the Fimbria, at least, I think it's also people have honed in on them a lot in the last 2 years as far as being able to breed them. I know Frank, he drives me crazy. He was kicking ass with them. I know that. Like he was popping out babies, no problem, and he was actually going to offer them up, and I talked him out of it. It's kind of funny. I have the chat where I was like, "You're really going to get rid of those?" And he just goes, I thought about it. You're right. Fuck that. I'm keeping them. And I was happy for him, and at the same time, I was like, I probably could have just been like, "Bro, they suck. Why don't you just give them to me?" Yeah. That really, he killed it.
I just got done watching that series where he did for the Fimbria. I was breaking up. I was breaking up all this soil because I had this big ass block of peat moss. So I'm just breaking shit up. I'm like, let's put something on YouTube. Let's watch Frank and that whole a closer look series. So I was watching the Fimbria one and the Stropherus one, just breaking up soil. I'm like, god damn, I need to get some of these. Fuck.
The one thing I wish Frank would do more of, and I'm telling you, when you have him on in a couple of weeks, you gotta ask him about this. I wish Frank would do one of his, out on location videos, but with what I would call, I'm not going to say bloopers because they're not like things go wrong.
Oh,
but
yeah.
all the crazy shit that goes down. There's times, and I'm not going to go into it because I don't want to take any of his lightning, but I'm just going to say, just to give you an idea, there are times where they go out and they're staying in the desert with people they don't know, but these people have said, you stay here, $10, whatever, and they go, and it's like a tent, or it's like a, whatever. And then to add to it, some of these people have these superstitions about a lot of these reptiles. Yeah. So here you have these people, and they're sitting, and they're like, we have these Americans here, and all of a sudden these Americans are chasing these animals that these guys are like deathly superstitious or afraid of or think are venomous or whatever, and so to them, there's these idiot Americans running around in the night chasing these lizards down. And so there's a lot of good stories I've gotten from Frank and Paul. Paul's also good about some really good stories that the other side of it, that, because I love the science of it all, but I also feel like some people get too lost in the science and they forget to have fun with it all and tell the fun stories. And those guys, there's some really good stories there that they are like drink talks. Have a drink and laugh your ass off type thing.
Yeah. God damn. This is Pashardai, right?
Yes.
God damn. I love the way these things hatch out. When they hatch out, yeah.
And the thing is, I have two variants of this. They're both Prashadi, and I don't know if this one's just going to grow into them or what, but the one of mine, my main pair, has a little bit of blue around the rings.
Oh, really?
Everything almost
around the spots or around the eyes?
The spots. Around the spot.
Damn.
Almost like the best way to put it is imagine that those spots put off a blue glow. A very clear
like
glow.
hue.
Yeah, but it's definitely blue. But the only way to put it is it's almost kind of faded like the Hynenensis cave geckos, where the yellow is there, but it's got a little bit of the other color mixed in the yellow. It's weird.
That's a cool gecko. I think I don't think I've ever seen an adult. I've only seen baby. That's a cool gecko.
That's like a sub-adult.
Really?
Yeah, that's not even a full-size adult yet. I have the adults are big. They remind me of my my full-grown adults. Now, once again, I've had these I got them from Paul back in the day, so they're at least a decade. my full-size adults remind me a lot of some of the velvet gecko species, the adult size.
They've got like
Oh,
those
Wally.
Mahara toenails going on there.
Oh yeah, they get
Yeah.
the wickedest nails. They are great for photos for that reason. If you get them on a branch and they're like this, you will literally see the nails on the branch, and it just looks wicked.
Yeah. Wally's like,
Does
you're
that
handling that
skin
thing?
come back like a sheath, or is it like all over the nails?
I'm sorry, I was laughing at Wally. What did you?
Is
Sorry.
that like skin on the toenails? Does that come back? Is there not? Is it like, I don't want to say retractable, but is that like a
No,
sheath over the thing's nails?
no, not that I've ever noticed. No.
That's just nails. That's not just nail, right? That's his toes.
That looks like skin
Oh,
on
I'm
the
sorry. If
nail.
that's what you're asking, yes, that's the toe to the nail. I'm sorry.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
You're like
Very
imagining aliens.
interesting. Very, very cool foot.
Yeah, Wally, what I've learned, bro, is these guys actually tame down decently if you handle them a lot. And when I say a lot, what I really mean is like every time you do a show. This one here is so used to me between moving it around so much between shows. And I do a lot of, I almost treat my geckos like people treat plants, where it's like when they're little, they're in this tiny little pot. And then as soon as they grow a little too big for that little pot, then they're in a little bit bigger pot and then a little bit bigger. And so this one here is really used to me. I actually have it out now upstairs. It was one of the ones in case there were questions, I was going to pull it out. I have had them go evil on me. I know what you're talking about, but this one hasn't yet. Now that I'm telling you this, it'll probably bite my ass in the morning. But so
Yep.
far,
You
it
just jinxed
hasn't.
yourself. You
Right?
jinxed yourself on that one.
Yeah, probably.
This looks like another Wahlberg.
Yeah,
is that?
that's a Wahlberg out of the egg, like literally. And one of the things I thought was interesting about these guys is I have yet to have a Wahlbergie that doesn't have what looks like an oversized head. I don't know why. I used to think something was wrong with them because their heads are massive.
Wally's like, handle them, hell to the no.
I love Wally. I really do. One of my
man.
bucket list things. I'm gonna hang out with Wally one day.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we are going to Tinley in October, so I'm going to meet Wally. I'm going to meet everybody there. So if you're there, we're going to hang out.
You know, me and my wife, we kind of. You have to talk Melissa to it. Let's put it that way.
Come on, Melissa. Let him out.
I've actually met most of those guys. I'm really good friends with like Richie. Most people know him as, and I have to do this because I pick on him, the Gecko King. And you know, I've met most of those guys. Joe Hub, got Mike Walsh. You know, all those guys. And I'll tell you right now, when we went out there to actually hang out with them all, and we were going actually for Frank. Frank was talking, but we went out. And the one thing I did not anticipate is that Chicago does not care if you have 8 layers of clothes on. If it's windy, you are identifying as a female until you leave that city. You have no. I'm sorry. You have no junk. It is gone because I was in like 2 thermals and a pair of sweats and then a pair of jeans, then a pair of sweats. And that shit was still cutting right through my clothing. I was like,
my God.
and I laugh. That whole joke came from Misty going, "How are you doing?" I'm like, I got nothing left. My junk's gone. It's gone. I'm so cold. So we both at that point were like, I don't know if we're ever going to be able to do Tinley again. That was so bad. I think we would, but at that moment we swore we would. That Tinley was so cold. I couldn't. But yeah, Wally was one of the people I missed at Tinley. I missed Wally and Ron Peteroy. I met everybody else. I think that was on my list of people who I'd talked to or traded and whatever with, and hadn't met before. And I actually went down for Frank and for Joe. Those were the 2 people that I went for. Frank. Yeah. I'd never seen Frank speak. I hadn't seen Frank sober a lot, and that's also a joke. Nobody think I'm serious. But I had.
Well, he was at the last symposium. He did have a drink in his hand, I think.
Oh, that fool can drink. He can drink. In fact, when I went to Tinley, that's what we did when he wasn't talking. But my point is, I had never seen him take on the serious. You know, I'd never seen Frank just. You know, it's kind of like me. You know, we're talking right now, but if you saw me giving like a speech at a school or something, I'm not going to be doing what I'm doing here. I'm going to be way more serious, a little more professional, scientific, whatever you want to call it. And I'd never seen Frank in that mode. So I wanted to see Frank, and I really wanted to meet Joe Hub, because at that point, me and Joe Joe was one of the only people that had my sleep schedule. And ironically, he's on the East Coast and I'm on the West Coast, but he's up when I'm up, which is late, always late. And so I loved that. So we would just sit there and talk while he did his tanks or whatever, sometimes 2-3 hours. And so one day I was just like, Joe, I got to meet you. So, Frank was like, I'm going this year. I told Joe, I'm going. And so, I got to meet them all. It was really cool. I loved it.
Yeah. Yeah. I went to the last symposium that they did, and I love it when, like, Frank, the first thing that came out of his mouth was, hey, how many of y'all bought like a $2,000, $3,000 gecko? All these people raise their hands. And he's like, why don't y'all just, instead of doing that, go see the gecko out in the wild? And everybody just looked like, you know what? Fuck you right now, okay?
Frank, I love Frank. And I'll tell you, believe it or not, you're seeing filtered Frank. Not that he's very filtered, but Frank, one thing I love about Frank is you will never, ever, ever wonder what he's thinking, because he'll tell you. Now, if he's up on
Yeah.
a microphone, he's going to tell you with a little more tact. But if you're just chatting with Frank, he will say stuff that just rings so true in your head, but nobody really says. The year that I went, the speech, it didn't start with, but at one point he was so funny, because I'm not even going to go into names, but right there on the mic, he called someone out for something they were doing with leeches. I can't remember what, but he's like, and this guy over here is selling these for da 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 da. And I was just like, I'm just
Yep.
calling him out right in the middle of a speech,
Yep.
Um,
I think I saw
so
that one on YouTube.
did he?
I think there was a YouTube one. Yeah, I think there was a YouTube one of that. Because I
Yeah,
still remember watching one of those, and he called somebody out. I was like, oh shit, okay. Yeah,
yeah, that's
Frank's a
right.
real one.
He is, and he knows so much. I didn't know how much until I got. It's really ironic. Like, I'd been friends with Frank probably for not super long, but like, I don't know, 2 years at this point. And I was talking to Joe Hub, and I'd known Joe Hub for a while, and of course, Joe Hub is amazing. I've always known
Yeah.
that, and I thought Joe Hub was amazing. And out of the blue, it just came up that I was hanging out with Frank, and before that, I'd always said Paul. And so Joe didn't know who Paul was. Paul at that point really, even now, Paul likes to kind of be that mysterious reptile
Being
guy.
a
He's not for the
yeah.
money. So it came up that I was hanging out with Frank and Joe, and he wasn't the only person who ever said this, but for me, it made an impact coming from Joe. Joe was like, Frank knows more in his hand than I know, like, in my life. And it actually annoyed me, because I'm going to say in a weird way, I looked up to Joe,
Yeah.
but I
I
realized
mean,
later on, no, it made sense, because Joe knows Joe's stuff. Like, if I was
yeah.
going to ask a Gecko question, and it's something I know Joe's worked with, I'm asking Joe. Joe knows his shit. Frank knows so much, because Frank can tell you, oh yeah, no, I went out to the desert. I put up a tent right by a
Yep.
Euromastic side, and we literally watched for a couple of days how this Euromastix behaved in the wild, what it did. We watched it run out, grab a flower petal, run back into its hole, run out, So it all makes sense now, but at that point, it was just weird to hear that from Joe, because Joe, he knows so much. So to hear it from Joe, it was just like, wow.
Yeah.
And once
Well, I
again,
mean, yeah, that field work is much different from, just like having experience keeping them.
right. I think a lot of people that, I don't know what to call them, and I don't mean it in a bad way, but I'm going to say people who wish that their gecko had a hot tub in its tank. I don't know how those people would react if Frank really said to him, no, I was there the other night and this is what I saw. This is how cold it was. This is how whatever, and these are the people that are telling you, no, you need to have a hot spot that's exactly this temperature, and you have to have this layout this way. Here's a way to say it without picking on anybody. Back in the day when everybody was like, no, it has to be paper towel substrate. I think Frank knows more about the reality, while most of us are limited to what we see. I'm going to rephrase that. Most people are limiting themselves to what they see on Facebook.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's a huge difference. It's not even close. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I was listening to, you were on Lizard Brain Radio, and y'all was talking about that, kind of like, yeah, I didn't know there was paper towels out in the desert, shit like that.
Right. But you know what? I don't know if you remember. I also went the other direction, and this is funny because we were talking earlier about females in the hobby, and I really wanted to mention them anyways. But there's a group out there on the West Coast called Stardust Scale, and I'm going to tell you right now. I watched these girls. They're all female. I watched them breed and hatch Euromastic Fantasticus, or Euromastics, Europlatus, the Satanic, using paper towel for bedding. I saw it firsthand, and I was going, how the hell does that work? I get it with like your desert, whatever, but this girl, Christina, amazing. I love this woman. I really do have love for her. She would every day monitor that humidity and change that paper towel and dampen it until she saw it exactly where it was. And if 4 hours later it was going the wrong direction, she'd do what she had to do, either replace it or mist it a little more. I mean, she kept that shit so locked down that these satanics were breeding not once, like they were doing it just like people who are doing it routinely now, but on paper towel. No cool terrarium, no nothing, just paper towel and a couple plastic plants.
Well, I mean, I've seen people do that too. I've seen what was his name? Reptiliatus. He would put some shit in. He puts all his Fantasticus for like a 3-month period in bins with paper towel, fake plants, and stuff like that. And he was like, they did better. No, but I mean, it depends on where you're at, right?
Yeah.
I live in the desert, so having a bin helps out a little bit more.
Yep.
Christina says it's the drinks talking.
Oh, is she there? I love you, Christine. Send me pics of your wife. I'm sorry.
Oh, shit.
I'm hoping her wife's listening. I love them both. No, those two girls, I'm going to tell you right now. You want to talk about ladies in the hobby? Those two and their third partner at the time at Stardust Scales, the third Stardust Scale person. The knowledge that those guys had, her name was Alex, their knowledge was mind-blowing. They could check an awful lot of guys in the hobby with the stuff that's outside the spectrum, which is what makes it cool. Like they could sit down with you. You go into their reptile room and it was Europlatus. Oh my god, the original common one. I can't think of it right now, but it was. She'll know. Hankalai, yes, sorry. Hankalai's babies all over the damn place. Both variations of the mossies, the Sakori and the I forget the name of it, but the other smaller subspecies. Like they were just blowing through them like candy, and it pissed me off.
Listen, anyone that thinks, for anybody out there, for any man, listen, I genuinely, I'm not remotely even close to sexist. My wife was an 8-year military veteran, active duty, real deal, gun toting, freaking badass bitch, right? She's there's my point is that I genuinely, other than certain physical things, right? And I come from a long background of lifting heavy shit up and putting heavy shit down. Other than stuff like that, I don't think that there is anything that a man is capable that a woman is not. So for reptiles, for me to hear that women are successful with reptiles isn't, in no disrespect to any woman out there, isn't a shock to me. I think that it's very foolish for any man that's out there to just assume that a woman can't be as intelligent or as observant or as successful as we are. Now, maybe we're a little dominant in this hobby. Maybe men gravitate towards reptiles a little more than women, but that has nothing to do with our genders whatsoever. I think women are absolutely, there's not even a argument for our equals. They are absolutely capable, assuming their interest, everything we are when it comes to that.
I didn't think that. I just know that when we were talking in the beginning and I was saying it was different in California, I wanted to throw them out as an example because that was California where I'll tell you right now, there were times where their booth had the best of the Europlatus without a doubt. And so that's why I was saying in California was a little different. There were times where those girls, they were killing it. I mean, they were. And so I think it's also because you're right. I've been to other shows and other places where it's not that way. So I was just kind of bringing it up that way.
No, I respect it. It's just it is unfortunate. Like we were saying earlier too. I think that if more women kept reptiles, they'd probably be accepted into more households than they are now, right? Like it's
Right.
Yeah.
kind of messed up, like I said earlier, but they're animals. When a woman embraces something, it's just a little less intimidating. And I don't know how to say that without sounding sexist because I don't mean it, but it's just
Right.
things that women accept are more acceptable. If a woman accepts something, I find it to be more broadly accepted in general, you
Do
know?
you do you booth? Do you do shows?
No, I do not.
Okay.
Jason does.
So
I did one show. That's it.
here's something funny I've learned in Georgia. Now this is Georgia specific. Although I can think of a couple of people that if they saw this, they would be like, "That was me," because when they were at my booth. But I will tell you right now, in my experience in Georgia, the most brave person is the mother of a child trying to get her child interested in a gecko.
Dude, I tell
Um,
people all the time, not to interrupt you, but the most
yeah,
fierce creature on this planet is a single mother with a child. Don't play
yeah.
with that one. Don't play with the single mother with a child. She will kill anything walking, breathing, talking on this planet. Don't.
But it's the same with the reptiles. Like I will literally have the Sarah out, right? And the kid kind of backs away a little bit scared. And the mom will be like, "No, honey, he's not going to be mean. Watch this." And mom reaches over, right? And I'm paying attention. I'm observing. And mom's hands like this. When she is not sure how she feels about this. But you bet your ass she'll pet it. She'll end up holding it. She'll do whatever so that the kid knows that it's, okay.
Oh,
It is
man.
the
You
funnest thing
got
to
me
watch.
with
I'll
that.
tell you this: the dad's 10 feet over there. That's a Georgia thing, though. But yeah,
Beautiful
I've
thing.
seen that here a lot.
Yeah. Greta said, "I still can't get people to like cockroaches despite being a woman."
Greta, that's because people don't know what Greta has. I'm gonna tell you guys right now. Greta is actually She became a personal friend here when I moved here. Greta has. I don't even know what they're called, but she'll probably comment on it. If you ever want to see the roach you want to breed, if you ever were gonna do a roach, Greta has them. They're the emerald green. They look.
Oh, the banana roaches, banana cockroaches, the green ones.
I guess they're metallic.
Oh no, probably maybe not.
I know which ones you're talking about,
I
and it's
breed
those
like
real
6
big
species
ones.
of roaches myself too.
Yeah, these guys are literally like the Egyptian beetles that look like they're green metal.
Yeah.
That's how they look, but they're roaches, and they're diurnal. They're out during the day, and they climb. So you can have a little piece of driftwood in your terrarium, and they're running around on it, and they're freaking. They look like jewelry. They're insane.
No, I'm curious what they are.
And they're expensive as hell. And Greta, when it comes to any bug, she decides to research it. She locks in and she breeds it. And she's amazing. I'm going to use the restroom really quickly. If it's okay, I'm going to let my wife just say hi real quick. If you want to pick on her, ask her about the time we went herping and she got up close and personal with a blue belly lizard. I'm not joking. Say hi, Greta's in there.
Hello.
I hear you have
Hello.
a story for us about a blue belly lizard.
I'm Melissa or Misty.
Nice to
If
meet you.
you haven't met me before. So it was more fun being on the other side listening to him talk. We went herping with our friend Demetrius, and he's super into bugs, right? Like I love lizards, geckos, snakes, but little things with like have 8 legs are not my thing. And there were tons of scorpions. He's flipping rocks and he's seeing scorpions left and right. And I was like, not my thing. I'll look from a distance. Oh, you want to hold it? That's great. You're crazy. I had on like boot cut jeans, and tennis shoes. Perfect herping clothes. Not. Just so you know, if you go herping, wear little things that gather at your ankles. Don't let things climb up your pants. Because something skitters up my pants. And I am terrified because it is skittering up my leg. And I've been watching Demetrius flip rocks at all these scorpions. And so I'm like, guys, something just crawled up my leg. And I think they thought I was joking because they're kind of chuckling. Ha ha, she's so funny. And I'm like, I'm serious, guys. Something crawled up my leg. And so I was like, Demetrius, turn around. Except for I wasn't laughing. I was like in a panic. It's like my pants are coming off. Very respectful. He turns around. I mean, it's like a really populated area. I drop my pants and out pops this blue-bellied lizard. And I was like, I'm so ridiculous. Like, oh, it's just a blue-belly. It's fine. Blue-belly can run up my like anytime it wants. He's like, I'm thinking the scorpion. I'm like, you can't. It's coming up. My pants get tighter as they go up. I'm like, this scorpion is gonna enter like a tight zone, and I'm gonna move, and it's gonna, hurt me.
Yeah.
So, yes. So that was my. Damn.
Oh,
That was a
man.
hell of an experience. Jeez.
Right?
Back.
And,
Okay.
and if enough people comment saying they want to see it, I'll give you guys the video and you can post it on your site.
Oh, God. So you're recording instead of helping your wife. You're just filming.
Oh, hell yeah, I was.
Oh, man. Seems like y'all got a great dynamic.
Oh, we freaking love each other. Dude, this is my soulmate. But I'll tell you what happened is I was recording whenever they flipped a rock in case something, was there briefly but not long. So I was already recording, and then all of a sudden Misty jumped up and was just like, I'm guessing she gave you guys the rated G version, but she just starts swearing like crazy. Something's up my bleeping pants and bleeping this and freaking out, losing her shit. And sure as hell, Bluebilly had gone up her pants. She's like stripping. My friend Demetrius is looking at her, but trying not to look at her, but looking at her because like, how do you win there? You're on one hand, you're like, is there a scorpion? Does she need help? But on the other hand, you're like, my friend's wife is taking off her pants in the middle of the field. So
right,
yeah.
Not at your wife's
Oh, my
expense, but that
God.
would make some good TV. That would be hilarious.
It was awesome. It really was. I mean, it's a memory, right? So,
man, that's a memory you'll never forget.
One you're not likely to forget.
Yeah.
it was great.
Never be outside again.
So I remember you sent me a picture of a baby of one of these. What's the name on these?
Okay, those are Asakas.
Gecko?
A cuss. I don't know of a common name. To be honest with you, I don't even know if they have one. They weren't really common. This was one of those things. This is one of those few times where like Frank and them were just like, dude, do not let those die. There really was no one towards the end there. Nobody in the U.S. was breeding them but me. And I just loved them, but they were tricky because what it is they were in Oman in the Middle East area, and basically where they live is where the desert meets the ocean. Mm-hmm. So it's a whole different dynamic. You have the heat of the desert, the dry of the desert, but they literally are on these cliffs where if they fell, they'd fall in the ocean.
Yeah.
So, I had to get moon rock.
I was really curious about these. Now, would you think about setting up like almost like a paludarium, but with a rock background, for them to have all that water and that almost that humidity and just almost like their natural ranges?
You probably could try it. I will tell you what I did, and here's an example. This is not their tank, but this is what I did. If you look at this tank right here, hold on, bear with me as I try to adjust the camera and still see it. See how that's oh my God. I forget the name of it, the stuff for the excavator sand, that's it. This is excavator sand, that whole background there, okay? Yeah. And it's basically clay. So what I ended up doing was building the rock chasm out of that, because it does retain humidity pretty well for a while. And then I put moon rock, just porous rock, down up against it. And what ultimately happened was I realized that's what they liked, because they would start to lay their eggs wherever I had put the moon rock. They glue. They would glue their eggs right up against any flat rocks in the moon rock, where all those little pores in the rock were holding little pools of water. And they'd go crazy in there. And so that's what I was doing. And they took off. I mean, for a while there. And this is one of those things where it's so good to do research. I couldn't sell them. At first, I couldn't sell them. And then it became, I couldn't produce them enough. And then ultimately, when I moved to Georgia, they just stopped producing. And that No clue. I still have a couple animals here that are what I would call hopeful projects that they'll start producing again, because I have had a couple of geckos, actually quite a few this year, start producing that had stopped since I moved here. And I do think that me redoing the attic with insulation is a part of that. I think that I'm holding humidity in here better, but I'm also keeping the heat better, and the cool. So,
Okay.
Is that a Fimbria as well?
yeah.
Or is that okay? Sometimes I get confused with the patterns.
Right.
So you want to talk about so let's talk about that move, because that was a major ass move from going from Cali to Georgia.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, no, it was. So, first thing is, how do you move animals knowing that you're going to be stuck not in your house for about 10 days at least, going across the country? But, obviously not in deli cups. I'm not trying to deli cup them for 2 weeks if I can help it. So what I
Yes.
did was, and I actually have, you asked about YouTubes. I have one under my old account where I actually took some videos as I was doing it. But I took these. These are cereal.
Oh yeah. The OG cereal containers.
Yeah. So what I did for my arboreals was I took these. I just poked holes for ventilation, one or two down here. And then the good thing about this particular kind is that it's really flexible. Like, I don't know if you can see it, but I can push it in really easily, just like any of your bins.
Mm-hmm.
So what I did is, anything that needed to climb or was arboreal, I jammed shit in there so that it was like this holding it, but that wasn't going anywhere during the move. It wasn't going to, and honestly, it was almost like building a model. In some cases, I really did kind of build a model. I took driftwood and I super glued it into positions. I did all these things, and locked it in. And then I just threw, honestly, it was just cocoa, not the cocoa soil, but the cocoa chunks down at the bottom. And depending on how much humidity I wanted, I threw sphagnum moss in there too. And so you had bin that just had these all the way across, and it was over 100 animals. And so I put them in there, and I did not keep them in pairs. Everything was separated out, so it was even more work than it would be to go to a show where I could keep something in a pair if I knew that they wouldn't hurt each other. And we threw them in our RV, and we drove. But what was interesting, because, nothing can ever go 100% right, we drove across country, and we went over the Smoky Mountains. And while we're going over them, we didn't know this, but the RV, the top had flipped open. Just that little skylight top.
Yeah.
So we get to our destination, and I'm checking on these every time we stop. And I'm like, oh shit, it's like, I don't know. It wasn't like 30, but it was 40. I want to say it was like 42 inside of there. It was 30 outside, but it was like 42. This was November that we crossed.
Oh.
So yeah. So I'm like, oh crap. And so, long story short, everything seems to be okay. Remember, the eggs are in there too. The Europlatus eggs, the gecko, gargoyle, there's all kinds of eggs are in there too. And I'm like, they're dead. But we get to town. We finally get here after doing that, and that worked out okay. But then when we got here, the house wasn't ready. They were still on leaving the house. So we went to a damn campsite, plugged our RV in, and at that point I'm pushing because I had false chameleons going. I had I had some anoles going. I literally was taking them in my little screen, the screen tanks that are just screen. Most people keep chameleons in. I had a bunch of them, so I started throwing them outside and putting my anoles and stuff in there in the morning when we'd wake up while we were camping, for lack of better words. And I would put them out there in the sun in the early morning when it wasn't hot, because this is November, so it's not too hot anyway. And I was taking water bottles and just kind of loosening the top just enough so that it would start dripping. And I literally have videos of me with these screen tanks out in a campground with water bottles on to make sure the water's going to the top of the water bottles, and just drip misting them basically so that they could drink. They went without food, which we know they can if they really need to for that long, especially in winter. A lot of them aren't going to eat that much anyway. But we go through all that crap, and then we get home. Every egg hatched. In fact, I don't know if you guys know him, Mike Walsh was like keeping tabs on me, like, did this one hatch yet? Did this one, and whatever, and they all hatched, including the like I said, the Europlatus. But it was crazy because first day we go out, I had brought crickets. I had brought my cricket bin. I was like, they're gonna want to eat, right? Mm-hmm. Well, we have a Bengal, and The Bengal thinks crickets are fun. So Misty's driving. I'm sorry, I call her, for people that don't know, Melissa, her nickname's Misty. Her friends call her Misty. So Misty's driving. And all of a sudden she's like, Ian, and I don't want to get you any points knocked off on your live, but I'm just gonna say it right now. Every vulgar you can imagine, there's fucking bugs climbing up my leg. And so we pull over, and I don't remember how many there were. Misty does, because it's burned in her memory as a nightmare, but she'll probably type in here, it was this many. Like all of them. The Bengal had released all the crickets into the truck. Not the RV, the truck that was pulling the RV, so it's not a lot of space. There are crickets everywhere. She's trying to drive. And as I don't know if you picked it up earlier, but she hates bugs. And so she's losing her damn mind, cursing me out. I had a Tigu in there who took like the most rank crap you could ever imagine during the trip. I'm guessing from the motion, kind of like a cat when it took a big old dump in there. Misty had to pull over for that. Like, it was a nightmare taking them. And then when we would finally stop and try to go to sleep, we're going to sleep in the camper. Well, guess what? That's where we have all these reptiles, right? As soon as you start to fall asleep, a damn penguensis is chirping, or a damn tokay gecko is barking, or the tortoises, which I don't understand this, even though it's dark, decide it's a great time to start walking around and ramming into the bins they're in. And so dude, when you move with that many animals, you are not sleeping. Don't even bother pulling the hell over. They're not going to let you. Just keep driving.
Anything.
Yeah.
You learn that woman loves you.
She does. I know that, and I love her.
Yeah. It's almost beautiful to hear, how much a woman will tolerate for a man they care about, in comparison to what we were talking about earlier, and the sacrifices. I mean, it's a beautiful relationship you guys have, man. I'm happy for both of you.
Yeah. But I will tell you, nothing died. Nothing died from the move.
Nice.
Not a single animal. Now, unfortunately, a lot of animals never bred again. I have quite a few that never. Now, I say a lot out of habit. At this point, it's over 50% are starting to breed again. But seriously, for 4 years,
major adjustment period.
Yeah, and it sucked because I was going to these reptile shows. People would come over, not many, but a couple people came over right away in the very beginning, and because I was looking for friends out, because it's hard moving to a state where you don't know anybody. And they'd see all these really cool animals, and they'd tell other people, oh, dude, when he does a booth, you got to go there. And I'd go there, and I'd have the only thing I really had that people were kind of surprised by was the white collar Sarah. And so, I'm at these booths with not much, and then now it's starting to I'm finally seeing the breeding again. For the first time, I'm seeing eggs from a lot of my geckos that I kept saying, maybe next year. So that's been a really good turning point. But
you didn't get rid of them, right? So, I mean...
No. Yeah, no, I still have plenty of them. But I don't have... So it's really hard because the moment you make this a business, and this is something really important for people to remember, the moment you make this your income, if you will, it's a different thing. It's no longer, they're not breeding, but it doesn't matter because they're just my pet. It's now, they're not breeding, and half of my room at that point is not breeding. I could bring in things that would breed, but I'd have to get rid of these animals that I love as my pets. But if I'm going to be doing it for a business, you know what I mean? So it's unfortunate because either way, you're kind of bummed because, you love your animals, but you're trying to make ends meet. And by ends meet, the only goal was for me to be able to cover my costs, which I'm doing okay now. But for a while there, it was very iffy. And so, I'm trying to think right now of some of the examples of the Homophilus, the Wahlbergie. I've had them since California, and they didn't breed until the year before last. It just took a year for a lot of their eggs to hatch. But, for 2 years, it was a dry spell. Same with my Orientalis. For the first year, it was a dry spell. And I'm slowly seeing things pick up again. So hopefully, that's the thing to keep in mind with me.
We've had other people that we've spoken to that have made some, nothing honestly quite as serious as your move, but we've talked to other guests that have made some moves and, lost a few seasons. It's
just that adjustment period, and I mean,
but then again, you can buy animals and put them in a box and send them, and somehow they seemingly breed fine. I don't.
Oh, you're talking about like that's 1 day compared to, like you said, it was like 14 days.
Yeah,
you guys
it's exactly 14 days. I think the biggest hit personally was that when I first moved here, that attic was an attic. And what I mean by that is that on a hot day, this house is from the 1800s. On a hot day, it's insulated, but it's not that insulated. You know, it was. And so with me redoing the
they
room,
felt that environmental change, right?
and in Georgia, that environmental change is A, extreme, and B, it flips in the middle of a day. You'll have a day. Today was like 80 degrees, I think. But tonight, if not tonight, tomorrow night, it's going to be 30 something. So you'll get these massive.
Sounds like New England. It'd be 75 during the day, and it'd be -8 tomorrow.
Exactly. So what happens is when you have them in an attic, they're going through these crazy climate change. Like to them, it's like, oh God, global warming. Oh God, ice age. Oh God. And so I think my personal feeling is that that's probably a big part of it. It was until more recently where I finally insulated. And I'm also at that time, as I showed you guys in the beginning, where there's windows. At that time, those were the hot spots, except for at night in the winter. Then that was like the coldest spot,
Oh, yeah.
As I've adjusted things and put the ACs in place and, learned all these things, now I think things are a lot more stable for them all. And I'm to the point where I have thermometers up there that literally alert me if it falls out of a range in an area.
Yeah.
And so I think that was a big part. What thermometer?
Yeah. That give you alert. Are you using like smart ones or something?
Yeah. Sorry.
Like Govee or something?
They're not good. Misty, do you have one? Did you put them both in the chick? She had some down here. She might have put two in the chicken.
So how's the show scene working out from you? Did you start making some friends and meeting some people that you have things in common with? I mean, how's life looking for you down there?
It's better. So the hardest part is the reality is it's just the town. If I go to Atlanta, there's plenty of people who love reptiles, but this town. So my original name was Artificer Geckos. We talked about that. What happened was this town is so small that when I went to apply for my business license, they were scared to give it to me because they were afraid I was bringing pythons and iguanas. Yeah. And I'm not joking when I say they didn't care about tegus or monitors. Out here, they only know about iguanas.
Because of Florida.
Yes.
Because of Florida. Yeah.
Yep. And so there was this thing. I actually became really good friends of all. You want to talk about politics, guys? I became really good friends with the mayor. And
good friend to have.
Yeah, and I became friends with him because they were blocking me. They didn't want me to do this. They had this stupid rule in this podunk town that if you had more than 5 of any breedable age animal, it was considered a kennel. And if you get a kennel, you have to go corporate. And it just was this big hoopla of shit. And this was a law put in back in the day because people were having like real horse ranches in their little lot, or back when it mattered. But they never bothered updating it to say reptiles or fish. Like I literally broke the law the moment I moved here with my aquarium full of fish. To give you an idea. So I got to know the mayor, and he was like, we're going to get you through this. This is bullshit. He agreed. But what he did tell me is he said, it would probably help if you didn't mention the reptiles in your name. He's like, I know this is dumb, but do you care? And I was like, okay, fresh start, whatever. So that's how I became Alimony Hobbies. It was like, instead of Alimony Geckos or reptiles or venomous snakes, whatever they were afraid of, it's like, well, it's hobbies. People love hobbies. So we went that way. And that's where I got the name. So that part's, the people, so far, I love most of them. It's way more cutthroat than it was in California. I will say that.
Really?
Wow.
Oh, yeah. Only in the hobby, though. And what I mean by that is that I have met some amazing people that I literally thank whatever you believe in that they entered my life. But there are some people that I've not going to say caught, but directly found out have said things that don't make sense. Like one person in particular denied I existed, that they knew who I was or anything, to a show host. And the show host, because of that, didn't let me go to one of the shows. I'm not going to say anything because me and the show owner, I don't think the problem's there. I think it's with the person who was, but they made it sound like I didn't know them, and I just took one of their booths for them, which if you think about a show, if you've ever done a show, that's impossible. You can't just walk in and go, I claim this booth. That doesn't happen. But at any rate, long story short, the person had told this guy, I don't know him. I don't know him at all. I don't know why he did this or this. And so I showed the person, the show host, the text where I had showed this person how to sex her cresties with a UVB. I'd shown this person had gotten a Saracen Norm from me, and these are all texts going back to before I was even officially a vendor. And I was like, this person knows me. They know how to talk to me. We could have figured out what happened here that went wrong, you know. But I've found that here, if someone here, okay, first of all, we have to set a premise, and I know you guys will know what I'm talking about, especially considering where you guys are at. If someone doesn't like you, let's say because they feel like you're competition, they're going to find a reason not to like you, period. That's just how people are. So I found that here, if someone feels like you've slighted them, or if they feel like in any way you've taken an advantage, gotten an advantage in a situation, and they don't like, they're not at, I'm going to say, gray area about saying something bad about you or a lie. They will flat out, no, that person's animals are bad, or it's, whereas in California, when I would do shows, if someone didn't like you, they might say something like, well, I've never really worked with their stuff, but I can tell you, you might like this vendor over here, and kind of they'd be a little more passive about how they do it. Out here, if they don't like you, they're going to go straight to the person and lie or say whatever they want to. And that's what I have found really interesting. On the flip side, the people here that, you get to know and they like you, those guys are like, come on over, stay the night the next time the show's in my town. If you're cool with it, I'll come by yours sometime, just check out your reptiles. I have people in Florida telling me I can booth with them at Daytona. So people here that are nice are just the extreme of nice, and people here that don't like you are brutal. And so I think that is something I've had to adjust to, because I don't remember California being that cutthroat. I might have been lucky, but I just don't. I can't think of anybody in California that.
That's terrible. Because I
Yeah.
tell you what, you're either you're putting on a real good front, or you are a genuinely cool, sincere, awesome person, and I'm leaning towards the later. So I would like to say to anyone out there that may hear this or may be in contact when it does hear this, be better fucking people, honestly. You know, look in the mirror and ask yourself if you deserve to treat people any way other than how you wish to be treated, man. And do fucking better, man. Don't treat
Yeah.
people like this. Don't do this to people.
Yeah.
Don't treat people like this. It's disgusting. Be better.
Can't get De Niro on that
People.
one.
I feel like I want this guy to live by me so that I can just be like, dude, don't fuck with me. I'll send him over to your house.
Right. Yeah.
No, but you're right. And it shouldn't be that way. But I mean, it is, but it's just really weird. It's not so, I think it's part of the small town living where it's people are bolder.
More reason to be tighter, if you ask me. If all hell broke loose, right, and all shit hit the fucking fan, the first person you're going to count on that's not in your house is the man next door. You're part of the fortress, man. And if you can't be, I don't know, man. I don't know. I feel terrible for you, Ian. I genuinely do.
Don't feel terrible. I'm doing great. It's just, it was
I hope so. I hope so. And people like yourself always win in the end. But it's just shitty that there's humans out there that breathe the same air we breathe, who shit stinks the same way ours does, but you got the audacity to act better or think you're different, or even just all of the above. You're no different. I mean, if it's just to belittle people, to distance yourself from people because you think you're better than somebody, to do anything other than embrace good people that enjoy similar things. I mean, it's just not.
Yeah.
I mean,
No, I do agree with that.
Your animal's terrible. It's unethical. Yeah. It's just.
I think even worse for me is that anytime we fight with each other, we're just giving Fish and Game or whoever another reason. Like if I get mad at you and I say his reptiles are shit, and Fish and Game catches wind of that, that's another excuse for them to go, look, there's somebody here saying point blank that people at the show are selling shit. You know what I mean? Look, it doesn't help. Even if you're right, you're not helping, when you knock someone out. So, yeah.
When I was a kid, I used to race motocross, right? And I never went pro, but a lot of my boys did. And we would, race the track, and we would travel, I don't want to say the country, but the country. We're children of this hobby, right? We all grew up racing BMX bikes, swapped over to motors. I mean, this is something that we had in common, despite how good you were or how bad you were. Any man fell. If you're the first man around the track on a practice heat, you stop and you help that man up. It's shitty to see people. And in the grand scheme of things, we're a small part of hobbies that make up the world, I guess.
Right.
And to be anything other than tight and uplifting and supportive is really heartbreaking, and it honestly probably makes a lot of people that think about getting reptiles or think about vending or taking it to the next level, it probably makes them second guess it. I mean,
Yeah.
it's kind of, I mean, personally, it's made me second guess it. And I'm a rude son of a bitch, man, and I take zero shit from anybody. But I've often asked myself, man, if I start vending shows and going to places, I mean, how many people am I going to get into it with? Like, is it really worth it? I make enough money doing what I do. Do I need to do it if
Yeah.
doing it for anything other than the money, which I wouldn't be
Right.
doing it for? It'd be for networking and the love of my animals and whatnot. I mean, why am
Yeah.
I going to voluntarily sign up for more drama in my life?
I do need to make it clear. It's not when I say that was like my example, but
Yeah.
when I say as a whole, I really do mean like I don't know how many Melissa might know. We've been part of at least 3. I say part meaning witness to, not I was involved. At least 3, what I would call pretty explosive sessions at shows, like between like say the show host and one of the vendors or 2 vendors going at it. Or so when I say that, it wasn't. I just want to make this clear to the people. I know you get it. I'm just making it clear to the people watching. This isn't like, oh, poor me. I had that one instance that blew my mind, but I've seen there's a lot more. Like some people just don't get along out here. I guess it's the only way to put it. I don't know, and it really is not. As far as I can tell, there's not a specific divide. It's not, oh, you're this race and you're this, or oh, you do snakes and I do geckos. There is no specific thing. The only thing that I think most Georgians agree about, and I'm going to get it for this, um, is that most of the reptile people really don't like the 3D printing people.
It's because they're taking up tables.
You know what? I'm not joking. I personally, I haven't been around long enough. I try not to get involved because I'm just too new to this lifestyle. But I'm just curious when I say every reptile show, if I go outside for a smoke and there's a vendor out there, and if they're going to complain about anybody, it's going to be the people who brought like the 3D printed stuff. And I don't know why. Because there's other people that have like stuffed axolotls or whatever, and I never hear them mention them. It's always those 3D printing motherfuckers, with the accent. And I'm just like, damn, because they really don't like them. I don't know why. So yeah.
All right. So we're coming up close to this end. We're at like almost 2 hours and 30 minutes.
Okay.
Oh, dude, but yeah, it was definitely a great ass conversation here. So closing question. Ant, hit him with yours real quick.
All right. So I ask everybody, I always
just
give the same spiel. I ask everybody the same question. If you were vending a show or out doing whatever you were doing, and a child came up to you, say a 10-year-old kid, and said, Ian, I love what you're doing. I see you on YouTube. I see you at the shows. I want to grow up and do exactly what you're doing, vending shows, keeping reptiles. What advice would you give that child?
So this has happened before. I'll tell you what I have. I've said, okay, first of all, they've been with their parents. I need to make this. But I have literally had some kids that I've talked to their parents and been like, if you ever want, they can come vend for an hour or 2 while you shop the show. I've had kids. I had a kid. Can I give a super quick story that I think most people will love here?
Jason's the clock Nazi. I talk.
Sacramento Reptile Show. A kid comes up. And I've already had 6 or 7 adults looking at this pair of Gonosaurus boanglinensis, the Boang cave geckos, okay? And one of them went as far as to go, yeah, those are kind of pricey. And I'm like, yeah, these aren't Hainanensis. These are a different kind, And they weren't bad. It was $500 for a pair, captive bred, ready to breed. So it's not like it's killer. This was back then, though. They weren't they weren't on stages or anything. So anyways, after all that, I hear something I hadn't heard all day. Oh, dude, they have Lydodactylus lugubrus. These are the ones that are parthenogenic, and I'm hearing it in this high-pitched ass voice. And I turn, and they have cave geckos. And I look, and this kid, Melissa, do you remember how old he was? He couldn't have been more than 9. Okay. This kid literally was in love with these geckos. And his dad was with him. And his dad was freaking awesome. Take notes, people. His dad was like, you had a budget of 300, but if you want to talk to Mr. Ian and see if he'll, what he can work out with you and da-da-da-da. And at that point, I was like, I have plenty. If that's what you're worried about, I'll have them. What are you going to do? And And I told the dad, I said, I'm willing to knock it down for him. I'm not. This kid was in love. He knew the scientific name. He knew so. This was a kid that knew more than most of the adults that walked into that booth.
Beautiful.
He said he was 9.
9, so 9 years old. So, no joke. This next show, the kid comes, and it was a different show. It wasn't the Sacramento show, but it was like Tracy, one of those surrounding towns. And he's like, I'm almost there. Anyways, third show, he shows up and he's got the money. And I had knocked it down a little. I want to say it was 400 at that point. But the point is, he was so excited, and he walked away with those geckos, and I turned to Misty, and Misty will tell you, I looked her in the eyes, I said, that little shit is going to breed those. Watch. That kid's going to kill it. Right? And no joke. Like, I don't know, like 6 months later, I get a text from him, Facebook message, not a text, to our Tifser geckos. And sure as shit, you can see where the leaf has been moved and the wings right here, and there's 2 eggs, solid eggs. Later on, they hatch. I say that only because I think that's a good question for me, but I think it's a great question for parents too. If your kid is really going to get that invested in life, in something about making life, understanding life, if you are a vendor, consider knocking a little bit off. If you are a parent, consider meeting that vendor halfway, because believe it or not, there are people out there that are making very decent money or side hustle money doing this. And I'll tell you this, it keeps them out of doing a lot of other stupid shit, because it did for me.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely.
But I think my first answer to a kid would be get to know a breeder, go to the shows, get to know a breeder, go to the small shows, first of all. I know it's crazy, but those smaller shows is where you can talk. Don't go to Tinley to try to talk to a breeder.
Sure.
And then once you get to know the breeder, I mean, you'd be surprised. Find the right breeder, and they're going to be like, you know what? You know, as long as your parents are okay with it and whatever. I'm that guy that I when I was in California, I'd go to adult continuation schools for the kids that were bad. And there were kids, I told them point blank that, hey, you want to come to a show, you got to come early, but you can help me unload. And because you help me unload, I'll get you a badge, and you can just walk the show. And the only time I'll need you is when we have a break together. Me and my wife go out to have about the time she smoked too. I'd be like, if we want to smoke, or if we just go get food for us. But other than that, you can. And so I think that really go to the slower shows, get to know the breeders, find one that you really connect with, and see where you can go from there. That would be my advice. And it's not just for kids. It's for anybody getting into the hobby. By the way, really quickly, that kid, to give you an idea, like 8, no, it had to be 10 years later, maybe longer, we met that kid, and we're watching this kid with his girlfriend. He drove her there as like a couples thing, where this kid from the age of 9 had grown to be old enough to be driving, and I want to say he was getting ready to graduate high school, and he's introducing me to his new girlfriend. Like, it was a long-term,
Cool.
I'm going to say friendship, but it was loose. It wasn't like, we talked every day or anything, but every show he would show up. And so, yeah, I mean, it's really rewarding when you see that stuff.
You just influenced another human being's life for the
Yeah.
rest of their life,
Yeah.
How rewarding is that alone? And that kid will remember those guys, and I promise you that kid remembers those geckos and you and the whole process now to this day, and will forever. He'll never forget that.
Well,
that's a beautiful thing to me. That's
yeah. And to the breeders, that's one more person that's going to argue if they try to ban them. That is one more person that's going to be on the side of, don't ban them. Let me tell you about my childhood story as a gecko person or whatever. So yeah. Anyways, that would be my answer. Long answer, but yeah.
Yeah. So my closing question is, what have been your biggest failures in this hobby, and what have you learned from them?
Oof. There's been a lot. I mean, 40 plus years, there's been a lot of failure. Misty might even be better to answer that, just because I complain to her. When I really screw up, I'm hard on myself. When I screw up, Misty knows. Like, I'll walk around the house and she's like, it's like there is just a storm around you when you're walking after something bad. I think one of the biggest ones that I learned the hard way was that you have to, no matter how much you want to, and this, I'm trying to say this as advice to anybody who's really into it, you have to keep a couple for yourself. Don't get blinded by the money, and don't get blinded by the, well, let me just put it a different way that's really simple. It's too easy to have, if tomorrow I hatched out a crap ton of, say, the Yamashin cave geckos, which are pretty unusual, right? It's too easy to go, I can make this much money if I sell all the offspring. Instead of saying, no matter what, at least another pair or two are staying with me, so I have a back. Because I can't tell you how many times in the course of my life, and it took me forever to learn this, all it takes is one night where the power goes out wrong, and you just had one gecko that was a little weaker than the other. I say night, but a little longer than that. Or a hot day. Something happens, and you lost your breeding pair, and you have been breeding them like candy, but you've been selling them because you were busy chasing the dollars. And now you don't have breeders anymore. That was probably, if I look at some of the dumb stuff I've done in life, that is the one that struck me in the butt more than once. I learned from other mistakes pretty well. But that one, it was just so easy to go, hey, I have more small, like right now, I have my small woody that are breeding. I'm not selling those adults. If I don't have babies, tough crap. I'm not selling them because I've been there. I did it with other ones where I'd have babies and I'd sell the babies and then something happens to the male or the female and you're screwed. You're done. And now you've got a tank with one thing that you can't do anything with. And the other thing would be hang on to them. Because I'll tell you right now, there was a time when I could not sell gargoyles for $75 that were high red and almost ready to breed. That was a true thing. I'd go to the shows discouraged because I could not sell a single damn gargoyle. And I was selling them for less than $100. But everybody at that point, that was right at the height of the Cresty introduction craze. And nobody really wanted to mess with the gargoyle. So,
You won't have a problem selling high red gargs right now.
Right. So,
Missy, you said Benoit and Plastic Under the Heat, Wildlife and Turtles. Anything about that?
Oh, no, she's right. I wanted to tell you this. I am so sorry. I'm going to show you. It's real quick. This is not a big deal. Do not trust everything that says it's reptile. I had a colony of over 17 Benoit happy, living in a huge terrarium, okay? These are the ones that are parthenogenic. In fact, if you don't know what they are, check out Wally Kern. He gave a really good tip on keeping Benoit the other day. This is reptile safe, okay? I don't know if you're going to be able to see it in the dark. Can you see that black spot right there?
Yeah.
You see how the top is kind of black in the middle? Like, if you look over here, it's white. But if you look right here, it's black. Yeah. You see that? Okay.
Looks like scorched.
So,
official rock?
The lesson I learned, well, it's supposed to be, it's a fake rock. It's one of those, you can go like Reptizoo or whatever stuff.
Yeah.
It's like that type of stuff. So I got the most common rocks that you can get if you go to a reptile store. They're just the flat little, they're not real rocks. I want to say, oh my gosh, Exoterra, the rocks that are resin. And I had this colony of Benoit kicking ass. It was insane. And I had a light, just a regular light and a heat pad. And my Benoit started dying off quickly. Like I'd come in the morning and like 2 would be dead. And I'd be like, what the hell? And I'm looking around and I'm going, I'm watering them. Everything looks fine. But they didn't all die at once. So it really threw me off. This happened over a period of about a week. It was fast, but not fast enough to what is in here killing them. You know what I mean? It was like, is it the weather? What's going on? And I'm looking. It wasn't until not all died, but enough had died that I was like, something's wrong. It was like I pulled the last 4 out, I think it was. And the rocks, where they were up against the glass, the resin had started to deteriorate and melt just a little, just a tiny bit. But I'm guessing it was releasing a gas. Because what I realized, me and Misty, when we looked through it, was all the Benoit had moved over to this side where there wasn't any heat, even though they're usually the heat huggers. And I'm guessing, and I actually have a photo of it somewhere on Artificer where I said, lesson learned. Now, since then, I have used nothing but slate, real slate. Never had a problem. And so I only throw this out there because it was a hard lesson to realize that reptiles, sure, but nature, if you know it's a natural rock that's not going to hurt them anyway, it's safer than reptiles safe. And that was a hard lesson because I lost an entire colony. And you could see it in the resin where there were bubbles, like where bubbles had popped. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about, but like imagine plastic and there's little holes like bubbles.
Yeah.
It was like that all along where the heat source had been. And it was just a heat pad. It was a heat pad. It wasn't anything bad.
That's crazy. Is the
True
heat
story.
mat shorting out? I mean, how hot could the heat mat have been?
How hot would it have been in order to not do any damage to the glass? On the glass?
That's what I'm saying. Melt plastic. It's got to be.
Yeah. And it was resin. It wasn't plastic. It was resin.
Yeah. Well,
you could see all the little bubbles where it had popped, like just all along. It looked like bad acne. I don't know how to put. Yeah.
No
Yeah.
sun? Was there sunlight hitting it?
No.
Was the sunlight magnifying? And I mean, that's so gnarly. That's strange to me, huh?
Yeah.
Wow.
And actually, it wasn't. I don't. If I'm remembering right now, it was not a mat. It was the line, the heat cord.
Yeah.
Oh,
But the
okay.
problem,
Yeah.
I have had heat pads go bad on me before, and when they go bad, your glass gets brown, and sometimes it'll even crack, depending on. Because I've
The
had some go
resin
bad on
will
me,
crack, yeah.
but I've never had something that cooks that the resin just gives out on. But I also don't typically put something resin there ever since then, so I don't know. But it was clear when you looked at it that this resin had just kind of like released chemical, like because it's you don't get bubbles like that. It was
Yeah.
weird. So anyway, yeah.
That's hard lessons learned, man.
Oh, and since then I've used slate and I've never had a problem, even with 100 and for my Euromastics, I'll put slate with heat on them and they're fine.
Oh yeah. Oh, they love that shit. Yeah.
And the rock doesn't.
Yeah. Right.
Well, yeah.
All right. Ian, where can everybody find you at, man?
Line alimony hobbies. Is that what you're asking?
Yeah. Yeah. Where
Just
can
for our
people find you
viewers,
at?
if people
Um,
saw
you
this,
know,
want to see you, find you, talk to you, how can we get in
so
touch?
Watch your drunk lives.
so everything is alimony. Just so you know, it's all alimony. On TikTok, it's just alimony, but the O is a 0. So ALIM0. I did that on purpose because I used to troll the hell out of people in gaming and stuff, and that was my name, and they couldn't find me. So yeah, it's alimony. If you look for alimony hobbies, space hobbies or dot hobbies, depending on which thing, you'll find me. If you type alimony with a 0, I'm gonna pop. And as far as shows go, right now you can pretty much count on me on any show. Georgia, that is a Show Me Reptiles. I've been going with Show Me right now because it's big enough to accomplish what I'm trying to and get some sales, but it's also small enough to have conversation.
Yeah.
So we're that group that you can come to the table. There have been a couple times where people are literally hanging out at our table, kind of like we are, just talking trash. We will make fun of each other in fun, not in anything mean. So yeah, come on by, and if you saw me here, let me know because it's always neat to hear that someone actually has an idea of who you are before they've even met you. So
Awesome.
I will warn everybody.
Do you have
TikTok.
animals for sale on Morph Market?
Not yet. I'm probably going to do the Show Me just because they've been so good to me. I don't know. We'll see.
The Show Me Market?
Yeah.
Is that what you're talking about? Okay.
Yeah. They've been really good to me, and they've actually got it set up where I could actually sell them and have them delivered at the show, which I kind of like because I'm not big on shipping some of these rarer things.
Yeah.
But I have no problem with someone paying for it, and then like for example, in 2 weeks I'll be at Show Me Grovetown. I can have them. But either way, I do need to put out a disclaimer. Alimony TikTok is what I consider my space, where it's not a safe space. It's the complete opposite. We have drinks, and we just.
I gotta catch this. God
yeah,
damn.
we do the dumbest crap, and I need people to understand it's all in fun. I'm not a swinger. Me and my wife are happily married because we have our moments where we will just, and make no mistake about it. If I'm flirting with a girl in TikTok and it's bad, 9 times out of 10, my wife's the one over here. See this next. See if she reacts. We aren't swingers. We just have fun with people, and they have fun with us, and it's all in fun. But I always warn people because I think people sometimes think what's going to be geckos, and it might be, but it might also be. It could be honestly anything. So, but everything else, it's purely
3 or 4 shots of tequila, you're good to go.
That's cool.
Dude, there have been times where it's like 12 shots. So yeah.
Whew.
Yeah, when you do it for 7 hours, 10 hours. But yeah, either way, everything else that you could look for, that any other social media that's alimony is safe. It is reptile. So.
Any plans on doing any Palm Street? What do you think of? How do you feel about that?
About what was it?
Palm Street. Do you know what that is? The Palm Street app.
Is that where they're selling stuff on the app, like live?
Yeah, you can sell stuff, but you're live. You can talk. You can kind of do your own thing. I mean, make people.
I've thought about it. I've thought about a few. I'll be honest with you. I have a background already. I don't know if you can see it in this. There's a cloud back there. Yeah, I'll send you a video of that later on. But it's that looks like a lightning storm. I have the nebula and everything that goes around. And it's all insane when I'm live. And I'll tell you what it does. Is it screws with the algorithm. You can sit there smoking, and the algorithm doesn't know you're smoking because of all the flickering of light. So
that's perfect. That is so perfect.
I work with all this stuff. I really did. But that being said, I'm ready to do something. I just haven't figured that out yet because I've been so busy trying to get back into the show scene here. So what was Frank saying? I'm already late.
Well, Frank was talking about some OnlyFans account, pics of gecko feet. And then he just said Palm Street is great.
So Frank is. I'm just gonna say this as a closing thought. You guys really should listen to Frank. I don't know when it is if you want to say it, but Frank's coming up and he's amazing. Don't let his sass fool you. Like he calls me son. He'll probably call you son. But like, we grew up together and he's constantly asking me for shaving tips. And like the bottom line is Frank is a great guy and you just gotta tread lightly because he is kind of needy. Other than that, you're gonna love him. So
No take.
Yeah, Frank is great. I love him on Wally's streams.
yeah, Frank and Paul are the two people that I feel like not enough people know about. I feel
like I only know Frank from Wally's streams. That's it.
I was,
Like
I
I
was gonna
don't
say
know
people
on
like
his
Wally.
socials or anything else.
I was gonna say people like Wally and them. They are great people, but people do know about them. Frank and Paul, they're really good at just doing their own thing. They're not doing the social media. I'm gonna call it the social media advertisement that a lot of people are.
Yeah.
And those are two of the most underrated. And I think Joe Hub falls in there to a degree too. But those guys, they are amazing. I wish we had time. I would have told you. I also used to chat with Devosji, the gargoyle gecko, Philippe Devosji, the gargoyle gecko lychee king, if you will. And he's fun to talk to too. And he's also the same. You don't hear much about him. You just have to recognize his name from the book. So yeah. And we got to do this again. And you know what, guys? One of these days, let's just do it not live. Let's just talk some crap, not live.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, dude. I'm like I said, I'm gonna hop on your next TikTok live. I want to see this shit.
I'll let you know. You better be ready to have a shot with me. Just one toast. We got to do it.
I gotta go get some liquor then. I don't have no liquor here.
Yeah,
I have my green. That's about it.
Okay. I don't know how you're gonna work it, but you'll have to work into a puff to it or something. All right. Is there anything else? We good? I'm not in a rush.
Good.
I'm worried.
Oh no, we're good. So we're about to shut this down. Just stay on for a hot second while this stuff uploads. Everybody, definitely, please like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. And then have a good night, have a good morning, afternoon, whenever you listen to this. Peace.
Later, guys.
Much